Chapter 452. Today was the second time. The second prince had invited the top 10 rankers of every myriad flower feast, and he was famous and had a wide network. How could he allow Dongbo Shuiying to meet with any mishap at the banquet where he had invited the top 10 rankers? Whether it was his wife being snatched away or Dongbo Shuiying and his wife being forced to self-detonate, the second prince had actually allowed all of this to happen. What would the other experts who had participated in the ranking battles think of him if news of this spread? What would the top 10 rankers of the ranking battles think of him? Over the years, the second prince had been trying to win the hearts of the people. Would he allow a madman to ruin his plans? Just now, the second prince had persuaded him to believe that he was truly in a hopeless situation. He was probably waiting for a better opportunity to act and earn his gratitude. This was what Dongbo Shuiying was most confident about. Furthermore, both he and his wife were only avatars in the deity world. How could such a useless silk pants humiliate them? If he gave him some face, he was General Ying. If he did not give him face, he was just a fool. Fall out? So what if he did? Would the venomous Ying world deity dare to kill him? Very good. Are you smart? The silver-robed General Ying stared at Dongbo Shuiying. A lord of a material world? Boundless future? But what does your future have to do with me? My true deity heart is about to collapse, so why would I be afraid of you? You're not afraid of me. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. But do you think I'm afraid of you? Very good, very good. The silver-robed General Ying looked at the flow of particles around him. The entire hall was suppressed, and his subordinates could not move at all. This made him even crazier. He looked up at the second prince. Your Highness, are you really going to stop me? Old brother Ying, is there a need to make such a big fuss? If you do, the matter of the myriad flower feast will be reported to His Majesty. The second prince shook his head. I'm just helping you. Not only did he say that he was helping you, but he also made General Ying speechless. In truth, the second prince looked down on a madman. What he cared about was this banquet. He could not allow a madman to ruin it. Very good. General Ying gnashed his teeth and turned to look at Dongbo Shuiying. Dongbo, just you wait. Once we leave this hall, you'll see how I deal with you. Even as he spoke, General Ying's eyes began to redden. He had been suppressing a bellyful of anger. He had been slapped so many times in the face. In the past, he had always been arrogant and trampled on others. When had he ever been slapped in the face? Even the second prince wouldn't dare to humiliate him like this. He had already gone mad, and now that he was being humiliated like this, he became even crazier. Auntie, I'm going crazy. I'm going to be humiliated to death. General Ying immediately transmitted to his auntie. As for his father was still at the Bloodshed God Palace, serving as a guard for His Majesty the Bloodblade. The venomous Ying world deity was currently residing within the Long clan as a guest. She was currently resting in one of the residences within the Long clan, sitting on a couch. Her huge black tail was currently coiled within the room. There was no need for her to restrain herself when she was alone. She was not human. Not only her, but also her brother. Furthermore, General Ying was not human. He was a being of the deity world, and his descendants were few and far between. His comprehension ability was average and low, and in their entire clan, the siblings were the only ones who had truly made a name for themselves. Her brother had only had 2 children, but they could only be raised to become deities. The realms of a deity were too low. In the face of endless time, even if they were not killed, they would eventually die from not being able to protect their hearts. Amen? The venomous Ying world deity's expression suddenly changed, and a terrifying savagery appeared in her eyes. This Dongbo is truly audacious. South. She instantly disappeared from the residence. Within the great hall. After the second prince suppressed the situation, the banquet continued. Snow Eagle, that General Ying is too crazy. Once the banquet is over, will we be attacked on the way back? Jing Qiu transmitted to him. Dongbo Shuiying replied, Jing Qiu, don't worry. If that General Ying hadn't spoken those ruthless words, we might have been in trouble. Since he has spoken those words, we will be absolutely safe on the way back. Then we will be absolutely safe on our way back. No matter what, the second prince will protect us. Jing Qiu nodded lightly. The The silver-robed General Ying was drinking wine with his head lowered. Occasionally, he would raise his head, but his eyes were red with madness. Ai. Dongbua Shuiying sighed inwardly. Although he did not like the general, he still felt that he was pitiful. No matter how arrogant a silk pants he was, even if he was the young master of the soaring cloud lake, at a banquet of this level, he would not act recklessly even if he knew of Dongbua Shuiying's identity. General Ying might have been a silk pants, but since he had become a deity, he was definitely rational. What a pity. This was how a madman whose true deity heart was about to collapse would behave. He would lose his rationality and act without any regard for the consequences. How could one talk about rationality and consequences to a madman who was about to die? Who is it? A roar suddenly came from outside the hall. Hong! A terrifying aura suddenly rushed in. Everyone within the hall felt a bone-deep fear as an ancient and incomparably evil aura rushed into the hall. A yellow-robed woman had already stepped into the hall. Her eyes were cold as she swept her gaze across the hall. The second prince was startled. He hurriedly stood up. Senior Venomous Ying. The yellow-robed woman walked in. Her body was surrounded by a sinister black aura, and her eyes had vertical slits. She was cold and gloomy, as if she was an emotionless creature. Everyone present felt a sense of fear. The Venomous Ying World Deity. The famous Venomous Ying World Deity. Her most famous appearance was when she had poisoned a stage 4 world deity, Puzong Monarch. She had caused him to suffer so much that he could no longer chase after her. Her achievements in the field of hexing poisons were extremely high, and she was definitely the #1 expert in the entire Kamsi prefecture. After all, how formidable was she to be able to cause a stage 4 world deity to suffer? You are Dongbua? The Venomous Ying World Deity's gaze landed on Dongbua Shuiying. Senior Venomous Ying, the second prince hurriedly said. Shut up, the Venomous Ying World Deity coldly said. The second prince immediately felt somewhat awkward. Dongbua Shuiying glanced at him and understood that he could no longer rely on the second prince. However, this was normal. The second prince's power came from his father's deterrence and many good friends. But the Venomous Ying World Deity relied on herself. Her powerful strength allowed her to disregard everything else. I am Dongbua. Dongbua Shuiying stood up. Greetings, Venomous Ying World Deity. It's too late for you to beg for mercy. The yellow-robed woman's vertical pupils swept across Dongbua Shuiying's wife, Jing. Your wife is truly beautiful. It's no wonder my nephew likes her. I called you Venomous Ying World Deity because I respect your strength. Not because I'm begging for mercy, Dongbua Shuiying calmly said. I'm just the lord of a material world. There's no need for me to beg you for mercy. The atmosphere froze. Everyone felt stifled. He actually slapped me more than 10 times. Neither you nor father have ever hit me before. The silver-robed General Ying shouted. I'll definitely make him regret it. I'll let him know the price of offending me. Rest assured. Auntie will help you vent your anger, the yellow-robed Venomous Ying World Deity said. You're still so daring in front of me. The yellow-robed woman sneered. She extended her right hand, causing a terrifying pressure to spread out and envelop both Dongbua Shuiying and Jing. I won't act against you, but I'll take your wife away. The yellow-robed woman sneered. Let's see what you can do. So what if you've become the disciple of a powerful existence? My teacher is also a powerful existence. Those who could reach stage 3 or 4 deities could easily become the disciple of a powerful existence, even if they were not originally the disciple of a powerful existence. Senior Venomous Ying. 7th May you could not help but speak up. Your Highness May you, there's no need for you to concern yourself with my matters, the Venomous Ying World Deity coldly replied. She then glared at Dongbua Shuiying. Aren't you arrogant? Now that I've taken your wife away, she can't even commit suicide in front of me. She's now my nephew's plaything. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes were filled with boundless fury and coldness. He was enraged. It was one thing for a madman like General Ying, whose true deity heart was on the verge of collapsing, to think that the Venomous Ying World Deity would be so protective of him. Perhaps in her eyes she did not hold him in high regard. But that was understandable. As a stage 3 world deity, her actions were even more unbridled. Why would she care about a mere deity like him? Venomous Ying world deity, there are some things that can be done. There are some things that can't be undone once they've been done. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes were filled with killing intent. Ha ha ha. A little thing like you dares to act so arrogantly in front of me? So what if you're a realm lord? How far can you cultivate even if you spend your entire life cultivating? The venomous Ying world deity sneered. With a wave of her hand, Jing Qiu, who was standing beside Dongbua Shuiying, flew toward the venomous Ying world deity. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes were filled with fury. Fine. He was not in a rush to reveal himself. Since that was the case, he would ask a powerful existence for help. As a grade 1 true meaning transcendent, he would ask a powerful existence for help. For the sake of preventing others from suspecting him, he would ask his friend Qihua Laozu to act. Qihua Laozu had a deep friendship with Sacred Master Crimson Dust, and he had even saved his wife before. If he were to act, he would not arouse any suspicions. Asking a powerful existence for help was too easy. All he had to do was shout out his name. Originally, Dongbua Shuiying was not in a hurry. However, the venomous Ying world deity had truly angered him. Ha ha ha. Dongbua, you think you're fit to act so arrogantly in front of me? The silver-robed General Ying was incomparably deranged. Hua hua hua, suddenly countless white grains of sand appeared within the palace hall, wreaking havoc within. With a terrifying pressure, they easily enveloped Jing Qiu. Even the venomous Ying world deity's expression changed greatly. She retreated repeatedly, a strange trident appearing in her hands. The countless grains of sand converged to form a plump white-robed man with a curled beard. This plump man stroked his beard and sneered at the yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity. Venomous Ying, are you really that arrogant? Chapter 453. The plump man turned to look at Dongbua Shuiying. Brother, with your big brother here, no one can bully you. At the same time, the rescued Jing Qiu ran over to Dongbua Shuiying's side. At this moment, Dongbua Shuiying was filled with gratitude. He did not think that the White Sand City Lord would really help him and the venomous Ying world deity. Although they had been brothers before, Dongbua Shuiying had thought that it was just an ordinary friendship. But now he could stand out and fight. How could Dongbua Shuiying not be grateful? City Lord. Dongbua Shuiying could not help but say. Call me big brother. The plump man glared. Why are you still treating me like an outsider? Big brother. Dongbua Shuiying said, thank you, otherwise Alright. Let me deal with this bitch first. The plump man stroked his beard and looked at the wary yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity. Venomous Ying, what? Are you still not satisfied? Do you still want to fight? The second prince and the other scions of the rich clans did not utter a word as they watched this scene unfold. The White Sand City Lord and the venomous Ying world deity. These two were absolutely extraordinary existences, and they were famous even within the Calm Sea Prefecture. It was a rare sight to see two of them fighting head-on. Auntie, the silver-robed General Ying shouted. Shut up. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity shouted back. The silver-robed General Ying's eyes had long since turned red, and he did not care about anything else. Auntie, we can't let Dongbua off. We must capture his wife. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard and sneered tistily. Venomous Ying, your nephew's true deity heart is about to collapse. Wouldn't it be better to find a place to quietly spend the last few days of his life? Also, what are you doing with your poisonous trident? Do you think you can beat me? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you and teach you a good lesson. The venomous Ying world deity gritted her teeth. The two of them specialized in different areas. The venomous Ying world deity's combat power was not strong, and she could only be considered an ordinary stage 3 world deity. The Lord of White Sand City was different. The White Sand City Lord had combined world deity-ranked secret techniques to create a terrifying secret skill, the White Sand of Annihilation. This was something he had been pondering over when he was a deity, and he had been studying it for a long time. He had even given himself the title of White Sand. The city he built was also called White Sand City. When the white sand blew, it annihilated all living things. This was an extremely powerful domain-type secret skill. Within the range of the white sand, ordinary stage 3 world deities would have to escape with heavy injuries. Even if they could resist the White Sand of Annihilation and fight, they would only be able to exert a portion of their strength. Usually, they would be easily trampled by the White Sand City Lord. Therefore, the master of White Sand City was considered one of the top universe gods in the third heaven. In addition, his body was also the body of white sand. His ability to survive was extremely strong. That was why the venomous Ying world deity had even called the Calm Sea Prefecture Master Big Brother White Sand, with her lovely voice. Are you really going to protect him? The venomous Ying world deity was somewhat furious. Of course, the White Sand City Lord gave a faint smile. Venomous Ying, listen well. Donghua is my brother, so I will protect him. If you dare bully him in the slightest, don't blame me for being heartless. The venomous Ying world deity gritted her teeth. Turning around, the black stream of energy around her wrapped around the silver-robed General Ying. Let's go. South, bringing General Ying with her. She flew out of the hall. General Ying had a luxurious residence within the Calm Sea Prefecture capital. The venomous Ying world deity descended from the sky with General Ying in tow. As for his servants, she could not be bothered with them. The servants would come running back. Within a luxurious hall, the venomous Ying world deity flew into it. Only then did the black stream of energy around her place General Ying down. Auntie, we can't just let things end like this. The silver-robed General Ying had a savage expression on his face. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared. Since the White Sand City Lord is helping him, we can find an opportunity to secretly capture Donghua's wife. Shut up. The venomous Ying world deity angrily rebuked. Auntie. General Ying hurriedly grabbed his aunt's hand. If I don't vent this resentment, I won't be satisfied even if I die. The venomous Ying world deity waved her hand and walked out. Honglong, the doors to the hall closed. The venomous Ying world deity turned her head to look. Countless black streams of energy surrounded the hall, forming a suppressive array. Inside, General Ying was still madly smashing the doors and windows, but with the suppression of the array, he was unable to break through. Capture him, kill him, kill him. He's gone crazy again. A hint of disgust could be seen in the venomous Ying world deity's eyes. She had a selfish nature and was famous for her ruthlessness. In truth, she did not have many friends within the Calm Sea Prefecture. Of course, her elder brother was the personal bodyguard of His Majesty and had considerable influence. Due to her elder brother's relationship with him, the venomous Ying world deity was able to live a relatively good life. As the only son of her elder brother, she still had to take care of him, but in terms of relationship, in truth she looked down on this nephew of hers. However, to the venomous Ying world deity, anyone who dared to bully her nephew would be not giving her any face. With her cold and stern temperament, she would naturally act. He's gone mad. From time to time he would go completely crazy. The venomous Ying world deity glanced at the hall. General Ying was still madly smashing the doors and howling. It's better for his deity heart to crumble and die earlier. The venomous Ying world deity turned around and walked out. There were guards stationed at the entrance of the hall. Look after the general, the venomous Ying world deity ordered. Yes. The two guards respectfully replied. They looked at the maddened General Ying, and a trace of pity flashed across their eyes. They could tell that General Ying's condition had worsened, and it was likely that his true deity heart would crumble within the next 8 to 10 years. At this point, with both the White Sand City Lord and the venomous Ying world deity directly opposing him, Donghua Shuang naturally could no longer continue with the banquet. The White Sand City Lord brought Donghua Shuang and Jing Qiu away from the banquet. The second prince even personally sent them off. Brother Donghua, I have no way of dealing with the venomous Ying world deity. You can't blame the second prince for this. I'm already grateful for the second prince stopping General Ying, Donghua Shuang said. Let's go. The White Sand City Lord, Donghua Shuang, and Jing Qiu arced through the sky and left. They flew above the Calm Sea Prefecture city. Donghua Shuang and Jing Qiu were both thanking the White Sand City Lord. The White Sand City Lord laughed. There's no need for the two of you to say anything. Since I've recognized you as my brother, I'll naturally protect you. I'm staying in the Long Clan residence, so I naturally had to act the moment I discovered you. In truth, General Ying's true deity heart is about to crumble, and he will occasionally go crazy. Even if he manages to maintain his calm, his thoughts are no longer normal. His temperament cannot be understood with common sense. I've long heard that those who fail to maintain their true deity heart will go crazy, and that their true deity heart will crumble very soon. Dongbo Shuiying sighed. But who would have thought that he would lose his rationality and become so crazy? There was a process to becoming crazy. From normal rationality, one would gradually turn into a madman. General Ying would go crazy when he maintained his calm, but the moment he lost his cool, he would go crazy. Have you seen it this time? The White Sand City Lord teased. Yes. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. Although he knew a lot of common sense, and the artifact spirit Crimson Rock had told him a lot of information, he still could not imagine it without seeing it with his own eyes. A deity who was slowly going crazy and on the verge of death would become so crazy. Remember, no one can predict what a dying deity or world deity will do, the White Sand City Lord said. The stronger a world deity is, the more vigilant one must be when they are about to go crazy. I understand. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. However, those who go crazy are usually deities or weaker world deities. Powerful world deities will usually choose to seal their memories and reincarnate when they feel that something is amiss. The White Sand City Lord continued. Without the influence of their past, they will begin a brand new life. If they do not die and become a deity, they will awaken their memories and have a brand new life. Their state of mind will become much more clear. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. All of this was still very far away from him. General Ying, you can ignore this matter. He is most likely not far from death. However, you must be careful of that venomous Ying woman, the White Sand City Lord said. Oh, Dongbo Shuiying furrowed his brows. She is selfish by nature, and she will never forget anyone who offends her. The moment she gets the chance, she will definitely act against you, the White Sand City Lord said. Of course, you can be at ease during the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast. However, I can't always be by your side in the future. If she sets her sights on you, it is best to be careful. I understand. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. Venomous Ying? He actually wanted to forcefully take away his wife to be a plaything for his nephew? Dongbo Shuiying's heart was immediately filled with killing intent. However, he understood that even if he were to ask the powerful existence Chihua Laozu to act, he would only be able to save his wife. It was unlikely that he would kill the venomous Ying world deity. Powerful existences had extremely high statuses, and without any special reason, they would not kill a world deity. Venomous Ying, just you wait. Dongbo Shuiying only hid his killing intent. Chapter 454. In the quiet room of the cave residence, Dongbo Shuiying sat cross-legged on a cushion, his eyes closed as he tried to comprehend the profound mysteries of the spear art in his mind. It was not just his avatar. Even his true body in the distant material world of the Xia people was meditating as well. As a world deity, his true body had already grasped hold of the world deity heart, and he was currently focusing all his attention on the chaotic deity heart. The 3-year period is almost up. Dongbo Shuiying opened his eyes. I've practiced my spear art countless times and practiced it countless times. I've also tried deducing the laws of profound mysteries, but this chaotic deity heart always feels like it's separated by a thin veil. It's misty. I can see it, but it's always a bit blurry. In the past 3 years, my chaotic hole suppression hasn't improved much. Instead, my other mystic techniques have improved a lot. Dongbo Shuiying couldn't help but laugh. The main reason was that he had spent too much effort on chaos hole suppression in the past. No matter how much he improved, it was still very, very small. On the other hand, he spent some time perfecting his other secret skills, especially the star meteor annihilation. To be precise, this move should be renamed as the Chaotic Hole Extreme Strike. Smite was getting stronger. 3 years was too short for a god. The entire Calm Sea Prefecture city was once again bustling with noise and excitement. The myriad flower feast selections, the arena battles were about to begin. It was different from the previous ranking battles which were not open to the public. The last 2 rounds of the survival battle were open to the public, allowing the humans and the experts of other races to come and watch. Step back. Step back. Within the Bloodshed region, the army soldiers were maintaining order. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui were seated on the magnificent platform, and beneath them were the White Sand City Lord, the Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin, the venomous Ying World Deity, King Ronghai, and the emissary from the Bloodshed God Palace. Below the high platform sat 1,000 experts. They were none other than Dongbu Shuiying, 7th Meiyu, and the rest of the top 1,000 rankers in the ranking battle. Brother White Sand, King Ronghai boorishly said. He looked at the White Sand City Lord beside him. I heard that not long ago, you fought with the venomous Ying? You almost fought him? The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity, who was seated across from him, pretended to be pitiful and said, Isn't that so? That little brother of his was called Dong Bo, and he was precisely that brat who obtained first place in the ranking battle. He actually beat my nephew. I just wanted to help my nephew vent his anger, but I didn't expect Brother Bai Sha to be so ruthless and want to protect his little brother. I'm not Brother Bai Sha's opponent, so I can only endure it. White venomous venerable King Venomous. That's right. Old Brother White Sand, Venomous Ying is so delicate. For you to bully her makes my heart ache, King Ronghai teased. The Lord of White Sand City glanced at the two women. The white. TSK. When are you going to taste her voodoo poison? Let's see if you can still call her weak. The one I can't afford to offend the most is Big Brother Ronghai. He has cultivated his body to such a level that my hexing poison is completely useless against him, the venomous Ying world deity said. As for the emissary, do you think I would dare to act against him? What do you venomous Ying not dare to do? Marshal Qin sneered. You even dared to act against Monarch Puzong, so who wouldn't dare? Also, I've only heard of your nephew bullying others in the Kamsi prefecture. Who would dare to bully your nephew? In my opinion, you should watch over him. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity frowned. She looked at Marshal Qin, but she did not say anything. The Kamsi prefecture master and Monarch Mo Shui were watching from above. Old Dragon. Monarch Mo Shui stroked his snow-white beard. Of the Stage 3 world deities of your Kamsi prefecture, who do you think will become a Stage 4 world deity and inherit the position of prefecture master? Mo Yun. The Kamsi prefecture master beamed. Mo Yun became a world deity in 10,000 years, a Stage 2 world deity in 300,000 years, and a Stage 3 world deity in 10 million years. His talent is overflowing, and his rate of improvement is close to that of some Grade 1 true meaning transcendence. I think highly of him, but he still needs to be tempered. In terms of experience, he's still lacking compared to White Sand and Marshal Wu. Both of them have cultivated for billions of years and have cultivated their own powerful secret skills. It's just that White Sand and Marshal Wu have remained stagnant at the Stage 3 world deity, with no hope of breaking through. No hope of breaking through. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. I too have no hope of breaking through. I can't struggle out of my shackles and jump out of the river of time. True eternity. I don't know if I'll be able to survive this reincarnation. Reincarnation? The Kamsi prefecture master sighed. Brother Mo Shui, I might have to walk this path in the future. Sealing one's memories to reincarnate would leave one with no memories of their previous life, and even their souls would be weakened to the extreme, leaving only a bit of spirituality. All advantages would be given up. Wanting to live on and become a deity? The possibility was very low. Many Stage 4 world deities chose to reincarnate, but in the end there was no news of them. Don't give up. Until the very last moment, there's still a chance of taking that final step. Monarch Mo Shui laughed. If you succeed, you must take care of my daughters. Haha, if I succeed, this is a small matter. The Kamsi prefecture master's eyes were filled with expectation. In terms of strength, the two of them were very close to the level of powerful existences. However, if they could not jump out of the river of time and struggle out of its shackles, they would forever sink into oblivion, unable to transcend eternity. My previous attempt failed. It seems that I'll have to make a trip to Moonstar. The Kamsi prefecture master muttered to himself. I must give it a try. Prefecture master. The emissary stood up. It's about time. Shall I begin? Only then did the Kamsi prefecture master stop thinking about it. Begin. Dongbu Shuiying and the others sat down one after another. To their north was an arena that was 5,000 kilometers long and wide. The arena was surrounded by spectators who had rushed over from all directions. Jingqiu, the Xia people, and the other deities had also come to spectate. The second round of the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast will now officially begin. The emissary walked to the edge of the high platform and looked into the distance. His voice reverberated throughout the world, and as his gaze swept across, the countless deities did not dare to raise their heads to look at him. The first round will be Dongbua against Yin Feng. Begin. Immediately, the countless spectators went into an uproar. Dongbua, first place in the ranking battle. Yin Feng, the 1000th place in the ranking battle. The strongest and the weakest. That Yin Feng sure is pitiful. If Dongbua can be ranked first, how can they let him compete with the second place in the arena battle? Normally, they would choose to compete with those ranked lower than them, but who would have thought that he would be ranked last? There's no suspense in this match. Let's see just how powerful this Dongbua is. He must have some tricks up his sleeve to be ranked first. Everyone was filled with anticipation. None of them had any doubts about the outcome of this match. They were all certain that Dongbua Xueying would emerge victorious. However, almost none of them had ever seen Dongbua Xueying fight before. After all, only a minority had seen the scene of the Mountain Wu Starfield selections. Furthermore, that match had been far too simple. It had only been a single move. Dongbua Xueying stood up and walked towards the arena. Elsewhere, a white-haired man wearing a gray cloak was frowning. He had to fight Dongbua, who was ranked first in his very first match. He felt somewhat depressed. Chapter 455. Second round. Stepping onto the arena, Dongbua Xueying calmly stood there, while the gray-cloaked, white-haired man also stepped onto the arena. Greetings, Dongbo. Please be lenient. This person called Yin Feng immediately bowed. Dongbua Xueying was slightly startled, but he calmly replied, life and death are decided in an arena battle. No mercy is allowed. Please don't blame me. Yin Feng laughed awkwardly. What a joke. On average, not even one Starfield could rank within the top 1,000 of the ranking battles in the entire Kamsi prefecture. How could he be careless when facing such an expert? What if he was too careless and got hit? I never thought that this kid, who has only cultivated for 2,000 years, wouldn't have the slightest bit of arrogance in a place like the Myriad Flower Feast? Although Yin Feng appeared embarrassed, he was secretly calculating in his heart. He had originally planned to use his opponent's arrogance to gain an opportunity. After all, being able to rank within the top 1,000 meant that his strength was close to the threshold of a world deity. He was much stronger than the red-haired man, Shui Yun, and the others. Both of you get ready. A golden-armored general below the arena activated the spirit array. A huge ceiling spirit array formed around the arena. It was like a cover that covered the entire arena. There was also an hourglass in the arena. There was sand of time in the hourglass. Begin, the golden-armored general commanded. Shwa shwa shwa. The man called Yin Feng instantly unsheathed his blade. One after another, figures attacked Dongbua Xueying from different directions. A total of 7 Yin Fengs attacked Dongbua Xueying with different blade techniques. The great chaotic true force within Dongbua Xueying's body surged. With a sweep of his spear, the surrounding area sunk into darkness and began to collapse. The surging power directly shattered the 7 Yin Fengs. This was not a ranking battle, where the opponent's strength would gradually increase. This was a true arena battle where one's life was at stake. Dongbua Xueying immediately used his great chaotic true force, followed by a secret skill. With a single move, the surrounding space sunk into darkness, shattering everything. I admit defeat. Yin Feng, who was standing on the spot, shouted without hesitation as his heart trembled at the scene before him. In front of Dongbua Xueying, the area of a few hundred li around him had completely collapsed. That terrifying might was enough to make one's heart tremble. Moreover, he had already experienced it with his Wind Shadow incarnation. Although his Wind Shadow incarnation wasn't as strong as his main body, it still had 50% of its strength. The 7 Wind Shadow incarnations were annihilated without even touching the spear. How powerful was that? It was far beyond the threshold of a world deity. Yin Feng admits defeat. Dongbo is victorious. The golden-armored general shouted from below. The outcome of the arena battle would either be decided by one side admitting defeat, or one side dying in battle. He admitted defeat just like that? You haven't done anything yet, have you? That Yen Feng seems to be at the same spot. Did he just test it out? You're scared? He admitted defeat too quickly. Countless onlookers were discussing spiritedly. Idiot. What an idiot. He admitted defeat before even exchanging blows. Amidst the crowd of onlookers, there was a group of soldiers protecting a silver-robed youth. It was none other than the cold-faced General Ying. After 3 years, although the look in General Ying's eyes had become even more terrifying and evil, he was still able to maintain a basic level of calmness. Is there no one stronger enough to defeat this Dongbua? Can't you at least let him suffer a little? General Ying was very displeased. He was targeting Dongbua Shueying. The main reason was that Dongbua Shueying was too famous, and he was too young. Anyone could see that Dongbua Shueying had a bright future ahead of him. However, General Ying was already at the end of his life. His power did not come from his own strength or potential. Instead, it came from his father's protection. This made General Ying even more displeased, and he disliked Dongbua Shueying even more. Beautiful. Amazing. Dongbua is truly amazing. We didn't even get to fight, but he was already so scared that he admitted defeat. The deities of the Xia people as well as Jing Qiu were watching happily. They were all seated in a corner of the crowd. Dongbua is truly amazing. Yen Feng is ashamed of his inferiority. Yen Feng said as he bowed. Your strength isn't bad either. Your cloning techniques are quite impressive. Dongbua Shueying praised. This was the truth. Yen Feng's 7 clones had all surpassed the limits of the deity realm, so he would probably be able to defeat the fierce shaman warrior within 10 moves. After exchanging a few words, the two walked off the stage and returned to their respective seats. The second match, the emissary continued. Drunk guest against Murong Qing. Dongbua Shueying returned to his seat. Congratulations, Dongbua. 7th May you said from the side. It's a bit easier against the last ranked opponent. I'm guessing that you'll be in a similar situation. Dongbua Shueying said with a smile. At the same time he turned his gaze to the distant stage, where Drunk Guest and Murong Qing were fighting. Drunk Guest was dressed in green robes. He looked rather old and he carried a sword on his back. Of course, one couldn't judge one's age on the surface. In reality, Drunk Guest had only cultivated for 20,000 years. Both sides quickly exchanged blows. It was almost a repeat of the previous match. Both sides had barely exchanged blows before it ended. However, in this battle the one called Murong Qing had died. Killed with a single sword. What a fast sword! Dongbua Shueying's eyes narrowed. He immediately felt threatened. What a terrifying sword! Amazing! 7th Mei Yu was also shocked. Both of them were a little stunned. 7th Mei Yu was an expert in sword techniques. Her sword was fast and straightforward, and her sword technique was incomparably perfect. As for Drunk Guest, his sword was even simpler. Seemed to be a single move. It wasn't complicated at all, but a single move was extremely powerful. Split the heavens? Dongbua Shueying muttered. Yes, split the heavens. 7th Mei Yu nodded. Feels like the split the heavens deity heart. Although he had read about the Starfield preliminaries, Drunk Guest had only casually struck the fierce shaman warrior with his sword during the Starfield preliminaries, and the fierce shaman warrior had shattered. He hadn't used any sword techniques at all, but in this arena battle, he had revealed some of his true abilities. His sword techniques have already become one, transforming into a single sword. No matter who comes, it's just a single sword. It's like splitting the heavens and splitting the earth, just a single move, and the enemy won't be able to defend against it. 7th Mei Yu sighed. His sword techniques have already reached such a level. I have a feeling that he should be able to grasp the Grade 1 deity heart, the split the heavens deity heart at any time. An expert. Dongbua Shueying nodded. Although he was ranked higher than him in the ranking battles, he was probably only slightly better than him. Perhaps it was because of his time immemorial body. He had to admit that his world deity heart far surpassed his opponents. His world deity heart was definitely far superior to his opponents. Over the years, his world deity heart had already begun to form a secret technique. However, his chaotic whole deity heart was still slightly inferior to Drunk Guest's split the heavens deity heart. The contrast was very strong. After seeing him shatter the fierce shaman warrior with the flat of his sword during the Starfield selections, I thought that he specialized in strength as well. But now it seems that his sword techniques are even more terrifying. Donghua Shuang had to admit that if they were to fight on the arena, it would be hard to say who would emerge victorious. Soon, the third match began. In the third match, Joshi, who was ranked third, was going to fight. Joshi was different from Donghua Shuang and Drunk Guest. Donghua Shuang and Drunk Guest hadn't cultivated for a long time, but Joshi had cultivated for more than 5 million years. Too powerful. This is simply. He seems to be even stronger than Donghua and Drunk Guest. The moment Joshi made his move, the countless spectators went into an uproar. Donghua Shuang and 7th Meiyu were also shocked. Because as Joshi stood there, the entire arena was filled with countless Joshis the moment the battle began, each of them waving their palms furiously. With just a single palm strike, countless Joshis slashed downwards, and the area where the opponent was located was instantly annihilated. This included the opponent, who didn't even have the time to admit defeat. Joshi's white hair, white clothes, and white eyebrows fluttered in the wind. Standing on the arena, he looked down at Donghua Shuang and Drunk Guest and grinned. First place in the ranking battles? But that didn't mean that his strength was number 1. Chapter 456. Standing on the stage, Joshi was looking at Donghua Shuang and Drunk Guest. That faint smile on his face was enough to make anyone feel that he was provoking them. Brother Donghua, Drunk Guest did not provoke him earlier, but this Joshi took the initiative to do so, 7th Meiyu said from the side. And from the looks of it, he's quite arrogant as well. Donghua Shuang nodded. Arrogance and arrogance were nothing. Those who were truly talented and powerful were all prideful to the core. On the surface, Donghua Shuang treated everyone with modesty, but deep down he was just as prideful. Donghua Shuang did not care about his opponent's arrogance. What he cared about was his opponent's strength. How powerful, Donghua Shuang thought to himself. That move just now seemed to be everywhere. Furthermore, it was so powerful that it could destroy an entire region. That deity ranked in the top 1,000 didn't even have the time to escape. I wonder what will happen if I fight him. Donghua Shuang was filled with anticipation. It's just that it's impossible for me to fight him in the arena battle. In the prefectural selections, for example, the top 10, it was impossible for them to kill each other. That was because the Kamsi prefecture wanted to select the strongest 100. He's provoking me, but it's a pity that I won't be able to fight him in the arena battle, Donghua Shuang said. It's impossible for you to fight him in the arena battle, but the final survival battle will determine your ranking. 7th Meiyu laughed from the side. You took first place in the ranking battle. Don't let them surpass you in the final survival battle. Donghua Shuang laughed. It was no wonder that Joshi was provoking him. It seemed like he was aiming for the survival battle. Following that, the battles became more and more intense as the battle progressed, as the disparity in strength between the participants became smaller and smaller. However, it was no longer as threatening as Joshi and Drunk Guest had been to Donghua Shuang. Even if it was 7th Meiyu. Although Donghua Shuang was shocked, he didn't feel too threatened. The main reason was that the fight had been too quick, and 7th Meiyu had only used 2 moves before her opponent had admitted defeat. Thus, 7th Meiyu's swordsmanship hadn't been fully displayed yet. After all, 7th Meiyu did not specialize in instantaneous bursts of powerful killing moves. She was more proficient in prolonged battles. The top 500 have been decided. The first match of the second batch of the arena battles. Donghua vs. Wu Yong. The second batch began. He had just entered the arena. Wu Yong shouted, "I admit defeat." Later on, when Drunk Guest stepped onto the stage, his opponent similarly shouted, "Surrender." When Joshi stepped onto the stage, it was the same. He immediately surrendered even before the fight began. In the first batch, the top few had shocked the others. They all understood that the gap was too big and there was no hope. It was better for them to admit defeat. He didn't want to lose his life before he could even admit defeat. On the high platform, the Kamsi Prefecture Master Monarch Mo Shui and the others were all watching the matches. Although there were more than 10 powerful existences, protector disciples and inner disciples participating, the most dazzling ones were the top 3. Donghua, Drunk Guest, and Joshi. For instance, Zhang Xiao was only ranked 27th in the ranking battles. Although his ranking wasn't bad, he couldn't compare to the top 3. That She didn't reveal his full strength during the ranking battles? The White Sand City Lord was slightly startled. He didn't use that secret skill during the ranking battles. King Ronghai nodded. It's just the ranking battles. This She is too confident, so he didn't use any of his killing moves. Even so, he's still ranked 3rd. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity chuckled. Now that he's discovered that there are 2 people ranked higher than him, he naturally has to reveal some of his moves. In my opinion, this She is the strongest one. Drunk Guest is the personal disciple of a powerful existence, and his strength is similarly unfathomable. From the looks of it, he can grasp a grade 1 deity heart at any moment. On the contrary, this Dongbua is slightly weaker. Marshal Qin indifferently said, "You have some enmity with that Dongbua, so you're deliberately targeting him?" Targeting? The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Is he worthy? Venomous Ying, if Dongbua is number 1, then he is number 1. The White Sand City Lord laughed. No matter what you say, he'll still be number 1 in the ranking battles. Then do you dare to make a bet? I've already said that in the survival battles, this Dongbua definitely won't be number 1. He might not even be number 2. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. The White Sand City Lord shook his head. Bet? Why would I bet? The rules of the ranking battles and the survival battles are different, and nobody can predict the final rankings. It's normal for Dongbua to not be number 1. You're not confident. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Are you confident? Do you dare say that Drunk Guest will definitely be number 1? Or that She will definitely be number 1? The White Sand City Lord retorted. The venomous Ying world deity was stunned. According to historical experience, as long as the difference in power between the top 3 was not too obvious, they would definitely be number 1 in the survival battles. Even the 4th, 5th, and 6th could be extremely proficient in the survival battles and rush to first place. Thus, the probability of any one of them being number 1 did not exceed 30%. Betting on who would be number 1 naturally meant that the chances of winning were very low. The White Sand City Lord was not willing to bet. The venomous Ying world deity was not willing to bet either. No matter how much you say, you still have no confidence against Dongbua. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity shook her head as she looked at the arena. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard. He could feel that the venomous Ying world deity was targeting him. He grinned. Haha, that's fine. I've won quite a bit from my previous bet. Then I'll be the banker betting on Dongbua to be number 1 in the survival battles, 1-1. Dongbua to be number 2 in the survival battles, 1-2. Dongbua to be number 3 and beyond, 1-5. The upper limit is 10 million deity crystals. What boldness! Old brother White Sand, you're really daring. You're that confident? Marshal Qin, King Ronghai, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Ink Cloud City Lord, and the venomous Ying world deity all looked at the White Sand City Lord. This bet was too confident. If Dongbua was number 1, the odds would be 1-1. This meant that no matter how much others bet, they would still have to pay the same amount. The moment they lost, they would lose everything. Thus, no one would be foolish enough to bet on him. The odds for number 2, 1-2 was considered normal. The odds for number 3 and beyond, 1-5, were astonishing. White Sand, you're just sending yourself to death. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Why are you so confident? The bet is right here. If you have the ability, then go ahead and bet. The White Sand City Lord looked at her. Rest assured. I'll satisfy you. The venomous Ying world deity had been suppressed during the banquet, and she had long been in a bad mood. Naturally, she would take this chance to earn some money. Haha, old brother White Sand, since you're opening such a bet, we'll have to take this chance to act. King Ronghai laughed. If Dongbua is number 2, I'll bet 5 million deity crystals. If Dongbua is number 3 and beyond, I'll bet 5 million deity crystals as well. TSK. If he's number 2, I'll break even. If he's number 3 and beyond, I'll earn 15 million deity crystals. As long as he's not number 1, I won't lose anything. Who said that Ronghai's brain isn't good? The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. As long as he's not number 1, he won't lose anything. In fact, he might even earn a lot. Brother White Sand, you've earned quite a bit before. I'll do the same as Brother Rong Hai. Me too. Marshal Qin was all smiles. Me too. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace stood by the side. The White Sand City Lord glared. You guys are truly ruthless. The four of them placed the same bet. Second, 5 million deity crystals. Third and beyond, 5 million deity crystals. You guys are too careful. I'll bet on the last one. Third or even lower. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. 10 million deity crystals. If you lose, you have to pay me 50 million deity crystals. The upper limit was 10 million deity crystals. The venomous Ying world deity placed all her bets on the last one. Don't be a sore loser when the time comes. The venomous Ying world deity sneered. Even a stage 3 world deity would feel the pinch if they had to fork out 50 million deity crystals. Donghua is number 1. I'll kill them all. The White Sand City Lord shot a glance at the venomous Ying world deity before turning to the others. Last time I killed them all. This time it might be the same. The survival battle, the rules are different. It's hard to say. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. The few of them had all seen the ranking battles, and they all believed that while Donghua Shuang specialized in survival battles, he was not the best. Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master could only laugh at this scene. I'm afraid that the White Sand City Lord will suffer a loss this time, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master transmitted. Amen. They've all misjudged him. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. Soon, the first 2 rounds of the arena battles came to an end, and the top 250 deities were chosen. The arena battles had resulted in 96 deity experts dying on the arena. The arena battles have come to an end. 3 years from now, the final survival battle will be held. The final 100 deities will represent the Calm Sea Prefecture to the Bloodshed God Palace. The emissary announced. Chapter 457. The arena battles came to an end. Under the order of the legionnaires, the spectators began to leave. The white-haired, white-robed, white-browed Joshi stood up and glanced at Donghua Shuang and drunk guests before leaving with a smile. He seems very confident. 7th May you and Donghua Shuang walk side by side. Is he confident that he can beat you and drunk guest? When the survival battles are over and the rankings are out, everything will be revealed. Donghua Shuang said calmly. Although Joshi seemed to be provoking him, Donghua Shuang remained calm. He did not place much importance on first place. Wouldn't it be fine as long as he could participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle? He would wait until he reached the Bloodshed God Palace before exerting his strength. As for the survival battles, there was no need to put in too much effort. He had only cultivated for 2,000 years, so what was there to compete with someone like Joshi, who had cultivated for more than 5 million years? The crowd dispersed. Donghua Shuang quickly met up with Jing Qiu and the rest. Patrol Master Guan and the rest also came to congratulate them on the way, and they soon returned to their cave abode. Just as he entered the cave, he sat down and poured himself some tea. Donghua. A voice came from outside. Donghua Shuang hurriedly stood up and went to the door to welcome him. When the door opened, a chubby white-robed man stood outside. The White Sand City Lord. Big brother, why are you here? Donghua Shuang was surprised. Please come in, come in. The White Sand City Lord walked in with a smile. When he saw Jing Qiu, he said, Sister-in-law, I have some matters to discuss with Donghua. You don't have to worry about us. Yes, big brother. Jing Qiu smiled and walked to the side. Donghua. The White Sand City Lord pulled Donghua Shuang to the side and sat down. He picked up a cup of tea from the table and took a sip before saying, Do you remember what I told you before? I have a gift for you after the prefecture battles are over? Yes. Donghua Shuang nodded. The White Sand City Lord chuckled. Although the prefecture capital battle has yet to end, you will definitely be able to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. So, it doesn't make a difference whether you give it to me now or in the future. Take a look. As he spoke, he flipped his hand, and a dark brown crystal bottle appeared. He pulled out the stopper. Immediately, a faint aroma filled the air. This is... Donghua Shuang was taken aback, but he already knew what it was. This was a rare treasure of the God world. The stone flower Cold Cloud Dew. The value of this bottle was estimated to be around 2 million deity crystals. This left Dong Buishuang speechless. One must know that the gift given by the second prince was only worth 100,000 god crystals. 2 million divine crystals. This was more than all the treasures of an ordinary stage 1 world deity. Although he was the master of Crimson Rock Mountain and didn't care about this, his big brother was too generous. This big brother of his was powerful, but why was he so generous? This is the stone flower cold cloud dew. You might not have heard of it, but you'll know in the future. The White Sand City Lord smiled. Take it. Although it's a treasure, it's nothing to me. I've heard of it before. It's worth 2 million deity crystals, right? Dong Buishuang asked. The White Sand City Lord was startled. He had heard of it? A deity actually knew of the stone flower cold cloud dew? He even knew the approximate price? It's too expensive. I can't accept it, Dong Buishuang said. Haha, during your ranking battle, the Kamsi Prefecture Master, Monarch Mo Shui, and the others were all interested and made a bet. I bet on you and in the end I won. The White Sand City Lord smiled proudly. Although the Kamsi Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui didn't care about it, the value of the treasures they took out was far above this bottle of stone flower cold cloud dew. Thus I've already earned a lot. Yours is nothing. In a bet there are always wins and losses. Big Brother being able to win is due to Big Brother's strength. Dong Buishuang added, this is truly too expensive. The White Sand City Lord was speechless. He had a straightforward nature, and sometimes he would act according to his instincts. Back then, he had secretly eaten His Majesty Bloodblade's World Sandheart fruit because he desired to eat it. It was only after eating it that he became afraid. He felt that he had earned too much from his previous bet on Dong Buishuang. Taking out a little to give to his brother was nothing. You're really... The White Sand City Lord helplessly said, I won't hide it from you. During the arena battles, the venomous Ying world deity kept targeting me. So I set up a bet. I bet on your ranking in the survival battle. If you can get first place, I'll kill you all. If you can get second place, then it's fine. But if you can get third or lower, then I'll be in deep trouble. If it was third or lower, the venomous Ying world deity would earn 40 million deity crystals, while King Ronghai and the other 3 would each earn 15 million deity crystals. The 5 of them added up to a total of 100 million deity crystals. This was a huge pressure on the White Sand City Lord. Dong Buishuang was speechless. Big Brother, is there a need for this? I just can't stand the sight of that venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord said, how delightful it is to do things according to your heart. Alright, hurry up and use it. With the stone flower cold cloud dew, you might even be able to increase your strength over the next 3 years. Let's not talk anymore. I'm leaving. Dong Buishuang still wanted to shout. However, the White Sand City Lord had already disappeared into the horizon with a flash. Dong Buishuang looked at the dark brown crystal bottle on the table and muttered, I didn't think I'd have to use it so soon. Crimson Rock Mountain also contained many rare treasures. Dong Buishuang had originally planned to temper himself during the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast, and then become a disciple of a powerful existence. After receiving the guidance of a powerful existence, he would then bitterly comprehend and reach a bottleneck. He would then return to his hometown and consume some rare treasures at Crimson Rock Mountain. Dong Buishuang could feel that his progress in the Black Hole Deity Heart was very slow, but at the very least, he was making some progress in his comprehension. His secret skill was also slowly being perfected. Using it now would be a waste. Since Big Brother White Sand has set up such a huge bet, I naturally have to do my best. Dong Buishuang picked up the dark brown crystal bottle. During the ranking battle, Dong Buishuang had gone all out, but it could not be considered as him going all out. Originally, during the survival battle, Dong Buishuang was not willing to go all out. But now he had changed his mind. Even if he had to help White Sand win the bet, he had to go all out. Goo goo. Within the cultivation room, Schwering grabbed the brownish-black crystal bottle and drank 2 mouthfuls of it. The cool feeling spread throughout his body, and his soul became much more ethereal. Shui Ying's thinking and deduction speed was originally very fast, but at this moment as he looked around him, everything around him including time and space was under his observation. His mind was constantly flashing with inspiration, and many puzzles were being deduced at an extremely high efficiency, allowing him to quickly understand them. Dongbua Shuiying had always felt that rare treasures should only be used at crucial moments. But since he was helping Big Brother Whitesand, he might as well use it. One secret skill after another, Dongbua Shuiying continued to perfect it. His true body, far away in his hometown, was also helping to perfect the secret skill. No matter what, in the survival battle, other than not using a grade 1 deity heart, he had to go all out. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast. The final survival battle of the Calm Sea Prefecture was about to begin. In this final survival battle, the top 100 would be chosen from the 250 talented deities to be sent to the Bloodshed God Palace. Although the previous arena battles were not bad, the strongest few were not able to display their true strength. They all ended in 1 or 2 moves, and some even admitted defeat. Right. Especially the top 3, they won too quickly. They will definitely put in more effort in this survival battle. And it will be open to the public so we can watch. Take a good look at the true peak of the deities, and see what kind of strength they can display. Chariots were being pulled in the sky, flying across the sky. Many army soldiers rushed over from all directions, and many ordinary deities walked on the ground, not daring to fly. But they were all looking forward to it. Many of them came to watch the battle, and just the teleportation fee alone was very high. But for a grand event that they might only be able to see once or twice in their lifetime, they were willing to give it their all. It was true that they could only see it once or twice in their lifetime, because the deity world was extremely cruel. Many deities died early in the battles. For example, most of the deities of the Xia people had died early on. As more and more deities rushed over to watch, the army soldiers in charge of maintaining order began to shout. Anyone who dared to break the order would be beaten. After a long time, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master, Monarch Mo Shui, and the rest arrived one by one. Dongbua Shuiying and the other 250 deities also arrived. Phew! Under the gazes of the countless deities, the emissary waved his hand, and streams of light flew into the sky. 250 streams of light flew high into the sky, then stopped. They were all giant spheres. A total of 250 spheres floated in the sky, some high, some low. Prefecture Master, can the survival battle begin? The emissary asked. Yes. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. Only then did the emissary turn around and look at the countless deities in front of him. In a clear voice he said, during the myriad flower feast, the Calm Sea Prefecture will select the final 100 deities to enter the Bloodshed God Palace. The survival battle is very simple. The longer you survive in the cage, the higher your ranking will be. The one who survives the longest will be ranked first. Go on in. He waved his hand. An invisible force immediately enveloped everyone below, sweeping them up. Dongbua Shuiying, 7th Meiyu, and the rest were all sent flying uncontrollably into the sky, each of them flying towards a spherical cage. Chapter 458. The Spherical Cage. Dongbua Shuiying could only watch as the cage grew larger and larger in his field of vision. Finally, his body collided with the cage, and he easily entered it. Dongbua Shuiying observed the cage carefully. It was about 5,000 kilometers wide, and within that area was a flat ground with countless black streams of light moving about. This survival battle is really open to everyone. Everyone can see it clearly. Shuiying looked outside through the transparent walls of the cage. With a glance, he could see the countless spectators gathered below, as well as the many spherical cages of various heights. Every single one of these cages contained a deity expert overflowing with talent. There is no need to explain the rules of the survival battle. On the high platform below, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace announced, "If you can't hold on, give up as soon as possible. Don't throw your life away. The last 100 survivors will be the top 100 in the survival battle. Begin." The emissary said coldly. Buzz, the black streams of light within each of the more than 200 spherical cages in the sky began to condense into a monster. The countless spectators below watched attentively, paying close attention to the top 10. Especially the most famous ones, Dongbua, drunk guest, and Joshi. After all, it was rare to encounter such a deity expert. Dongbua Shuang calmly stood on the flat ground within the cage, his right hand holding a spear. At this moment, the black streams of light on the ground began to converge, and beast-like monsters began to appear in different locations. Every single one of them was covered in black scales, and some were land beasts, while others were flying beasts. 10 beasts appeared in different locations within the cage, and their gazes fell on Dongbua Shuang the moment they appeared. Hiss, ho, the beasts exchanged glances and communicated with each other. Although they were all form-type life forms, they possessed considerable intelligence. It must be known that the puppets refined by transcendence all possessed intelligence. Although form-type lifeforms formed faster, this cage had been personally refined by a stage 4 world deity for the Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast. The 10 beasts were in different locations, but none of them were in a hurry to attack. You won't make a move, but I can't drag this on. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. And with a thought, a starry blue-robed Dongbua Shuang appeared out of thin air, wielding a fiery red spear. With a flick of his hand, the spear streaked across the sky, causing the surrounding darkness to collapse. With lightning speed, the spear struck a black-scaled beast, sending it tumbling backwards. Blood seeped out of its mouth and nose, but this kind of injury was nothing to it. What? Shuang was startled. The time immemorial body strength was used to display the chaotic suppression, yet it still couldn't kill it? And this is only the beginning of the survival battle. What was a battle for survival? In the battle for survival, a mutated beast would be born every second. Beasts would be born continuously. If the speed of killing couldn't keep up with the rate at which exotic beasts were born, it would cause the number of exotic beasts to increase, and the newly born exotic beasts would also become stronger and stronger, so the situation would only worsen. The best way was to kill as many as possible. Kill with all your might. Break. With a thought, Dongbua Shuang activated his spear technique. The distant mirage body once again used its spear technique, but this time, it used the great chaotic true force. This was already the maximum power that Dongbua Shuang could unleash. Everywhere the spear passed, everything would collapse into darkness. With a pung, the spear swept across the black-scaled exotic beasts, causing them to explode and turn back into black energy that returned to the ground. And here I was wondering how strong my body would be. Shuang laughed. His true body stood there, not moving at all. His mirage body was rapidly traversing through the various locations, rapidly killing the beasts. In a single breath, all 10 mutated beasts were swept clean. After a short rest, the black energy on the ground once again gathered to form a new black-scaled exotic beast. Although its strength had increased slightly, it was still killed with a single sweep of the spear. Next, he had to wait for a breath's time. Thus, Dongbua Shuang appeared to be very relaxed. He waited leisurely for a breath's time. Then his mirage body would kill his opponent with a single move. Dongbua, drunk guest, and Joshi. The three of them are really relaxed. The countless spectators below could clearly see the battle taking place in each of the spherical cages. Dongbua is using his mirage body, which has the same strength as his main body. Moreover, even if it is destroyed, it can instantly reform again. It's a very powerful technique. Dongbua's strength is too strong. These exotic beasts are much stronger than the fierce shaman warrior, but in front of Dongbua, they were all killed with a single sweep of the spear without being able to resist at all. Drunk Guest is also very powerful. He just stood there without moving. With just a swing of his sword, the sword light swept across thousands of miles, and those black-scaled exotic beasts were all sliced into pieces. Joshi didn't even use a weapon. With just a swing of his palm, a black-scaled exotic beast was smashed into pieces. The spectators were all amazed. They were very clear that it was not that the exotic beasts were weak, but rather that Dongbua and the other two were too strong. This was because even among the experts ranked in the top 250, those who were slightly behind were having a hard time fighting. The defense of the black-scaled exotic beasts was truly too strong, and killing one of them was extremely strenuous. Ordinary low-level world deities would only be able to injure the black-scaled exotic beasts, and they would have to go all out just to barely kill one. I admit defeat. Just the time it took to brew a cup of tea had passed since the start of the survival battle, and a deity expert had already admitted defeat. He was directly expelled into the air. He glanced around and saw that all the other deities in the cages were still fighting. He was the first to give up. Sigh. The burly man shook his head and sighed. The defense of the black-scaled exotic beasts is too strong. Killing them is too difficult, and their numbers are only increasing. If they surround us, I really can't hold on. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Very quickly, more and more people admitted defeat. Everyone knew that the majority of them were still fighting, and they could no longer hold on. Even if they did, it would be impossible for them to remain in the top 100. Thus, survival was naturally more important. Finally, a voice reverberated throughout the world. 200 left. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary announced. Many of the deities fighting in the spherical cages felt helpless. 200 left? It would be too difficult for them to reach the top 100. 190. 180. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary would shout out every once in a while. In truth, even if he didn't announce it publicly, the countless spectators below could still see the situation and know how many deities were left. They could also inform their friends and companions who were fighting. 170. 160. The deities gave up one by one. Not a single one of them had died. Since they were still far from the top 100, everyone felt that they could not hold on any longer, so they decided to give up. As the number of deities continued to decrease, 110. Following the Bloodshed God Palace's emissary's voice, the deities who were still fighting felt their hearts tighten. Soon another 10 would be eliminated, and only 100 would be left. At the final moment, those who can make it to the top 100 will head to the Bloodshed God Palace. Of course, you all have to take care of your lives. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary watched everything coldly. At this moment, the death rate was the highest. The deities who were already feeling the strain were even more frantic. The top 100. There was a fundamental difference between the top 100 and the top 101. The top 100 would be able to head to the Bloodshed God Palace. At that time, their future would be completely different. They were already fighting with their lives on the line. 109. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary had personally witnessed a deity expert being torn to shreds by the black-scaled mutated beasts. He was already used to it. At this final moment, the death rate was extremely high. Star. Chapter 459. 108. 107. 106. Following the resounding voice of the emissary, quite a few deity experts were doing their best to hold on. Actually, there was a gap of 30 ranks between the 80th and the 110th. However, the gap in combat power was not that big. Many deity experts had already reached a point where it was extremely strenuous, and they were doing their best to stall for time. Some relied on speed, some relied on combat, and some relied on illusions. However, those mutated beasts were similarly moving through the void, walking in the shadows and attacking in large groups. 103. 102. Soon. Hold on. We have to hold on. Many deity experts were already injured. 100 has been born. The voice of the emissary was finally filled with joy. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. When the emissary announced the birth of the top 100, those deity experts who were barely holding on immediately admitted defeat and were expelled from the spherical cage. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 deity experts had come out. However, those who came out at the last moment all revealed looks of joy. That was because they had all held on. Just a bit more, just a bit more. That was the white-haired old man ranked 101. His body had been split into two and condensed in midair, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. Why did I not hold on just a bit more? I lost. I did not enter the top 100. There were quite a few who had failed by a bit, and they were all filled with regret. As for those who had succeeded in landing, they were all filled with joy. Congratulations, congratulations. Ha ha ha, Brother Lee, when the time comes, we will head to the Bloodshed God Palace together. The Bloodshed God Palace battle is the safest. If you are lucky, you can even become a disciple of a powerful existence. Those who were about to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle were all very happy. Of the Starfield selections, the Prefecture City selections, and the Bloodshed God Palace battle, the Bloodshed God Palace battle was the safest. It was impossible for any casualties to occur. Furthermore, there were many opportunities to participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Becoming a disciple of a powerful existence? Becoming a disciple of a Stage 4 world deity? Obtaining a high rank in the Bloodshed God Palace? Entering the Bloodshed Tavern? Participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle represented one's identity. Even if one was lacking, one could directly obtain the 10th rank in the Bloodshed God Palace. What did the 10th level represent? For example, the generals of the Garrison Legion and the Patrol Legion were usually only at the 9th grade. 10th tier, at the very least, he was a deputy general. Even in a rank 3 legion, he was only second to one person. On the high platform, Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master both had smiles on their faces. The top 100 from the Calm Sea Prefecture who will be heading to the Bloodshed God Palace this time has been decided. Monarch Mo Shui stroked his snow-white beard and chuckled. Seems like it's not bad. That brat called Drunk Guest. His sword technique already has the charm of the Split Heaven Deity Heart. With his self-created sword technique reaching this stage, I estimate that he'll be able to grasp the Grade 1 Deity Heart, Split Heaven Deity Heart, within 1 or 2 days or at most 1,000 years. As expected of Duke Yu's personal disciple, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded in praise. You've only cultivated for 20,000 years, yet your talent is already not bad. There was still a difference between a Grade 1 Deity Heart in 10,000 years and a Grade 1 Deity Heart in 20,000 years. But at least the gap between them wasn't too big. That Donghua isn't bad either, Monarch Mo Shui said. But he seems to have learned quite a variety of things with at least 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts, of which his Star Deity Heart and Mirage Deity Heart seem to have reached the peak of the deity realm, with the Great Chaotic True Force and Time Immemorial Body both reaching the peak of the deity realm. His Extreme Piercing Deity Heart and Space Deity Heart seem to be slightly weaker. But no matter which one it is, they're still somewhat lacking compared to that Drunk Guest brat. Amen. He's still quite a distance away from grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded in agreement. That Joshi is the strongest. Monarch Mo Shui laughed. It's a pity that he's cultivated for close to 6 million years. That's too long. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. In terms of strength, Joshi is the strongest. But in the eyes of powerful existences, I'm afraid that Donghua is still the one they like the most. Donghua is too young. He's only cultivated for 2,000 years, yet he's already reached such a high level in 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts. Furthermore, one could see with a single glance that the secret skill he used had some laughable mistakes. He definitely hasn't received any pointers from a powerful existence, or even a Stage 4 world deity. Amen. Without any pointers, he cultivated for 2,000 years and reached such a high level in 4 Grade 2 Deity Hearts. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. The moment he receives pointers, he'll definitely improve greatly. If I were to accept a disciple, I'd definitely choose Donghua. Naturally. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. Joshi is the strongest, while Donghua has the highest potential. What do you think of the top 3 in this survival battle? Monarch Mo Shui asked. Joshi is undoubtedly the strongest, followed by Drunk Guest and Donghua. Drunk Guest's offensive power is stronger, and his secret skill is more perfect. He's only slightly weaker when it comes to survival. Donghua's mastery is more complex, and he's good at survival, but his offensive power is slightly weaker. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. Drunk Guest should be the second, and Donghua should be the third. Monarch Mo Shui nodded in agreement. With their insight, they could see many things from the secret skills displayed, and they could determine that Donghua Shuang had not received any pointers from a powerful existence. Naturally, it was easy for them to deduce the outcome of the battle. Ha. Monarch Mo Shui laughed. I agree with you, but that little rat who steals food, I'm afraid he's going to lose miserably this time. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master laughed as well. That little rat. Last time he killed everyone and earned all the treasures we took out. This time he wants to kill everyone. But it's a pity he's going to lose all of them. Shay. The White Sand City Lord Marshal Qin, Ink Cloud City Lord, Venomous Ing World Deity King Rong Hai, and the Bloodshed God Palace Emissary were completely unaware of the conversation between Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master. The 6 of them were rather excited as they watched the battle. After all, this involved a huge gamble. 30 remaining. The Bloodshed God Palace Emissary shouted. The Bloodshed God Palace Emissary said loudly before turning to his companion beside him. Old brother Whitesand, did you see that? How formidable is Jiuxi's strength? Drunk Guest's sword techniques are also very formidable. After all, he is the personal disciple of Gongyu, and after being trained by Gongyu TSK, just this sword technique secret skill alone is enough to surpass Donghua. Donghua will most likely end up in 3rd place. The yellow-robed Venomous Ing World Deity felt even more confident as she watched the battle unfold in the spherical cage. She glanced at the White Sand City Lord and said, Big brother Whitesand, remember 1-5 odds. Don't be complacent until the very end. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard, though his heart was faintly trembling. Old brother Donghua is still too young. It seems he'll be the first to lose. Drunk Guest was garbed in a green robe. He walked within the cage while wielding a sword in one hand. Hua! As he walked, his entire body was akin to a sword that could split the heavens and earth apart, piercing through everything in an instant. Every step he took brought him to the side of a mutated beast. With a swing of his sword, he sliced the beast in half. His sword techniques were too simple. Regardless of whether it was a chop, a slice, a horizontal slice, or a slash, they all seemed to be extremely simple. Yet they possessed a might that could split the heavens and earth apart. There was no way to block them. His sword techniques seemed to be extremely simple, yet they were also extremely perfect. Clearly, he had already displayed the laws of profound mysteries to the pinnacle, and he could grasp a true grade 1 deity heart at any time. A white-robed, white-haired man with white eyebrows fluttering in the wind. His long, narrow eyes contained a trace of indifference and arrogance. Countless white-robed, white-haired men appeared within the spherical cage. He stood at every corner of the cage, and as soon as a mutated beast appeared, all of his clones would send out a palm strike, directly shattering the beast into pieces. Now there were less than 30 left, yet he could still kill them all in one move. At this point, only Drunk Guest and Jiuxi were still capable of killing them in one move. If Shuang had used his strongest and most penetrative move, the Star Meteor Annihilation, he might have been able to kill his opponent in a single move. However, he was more focused on using his chaotic suppression while barely matching it with some of his other spear techniques. He was clearly treating this survival battle as a rare opportunity to temper himself. He was working hard to hone his chaotic suppression secret skill, so that he could grasp the chaotic deity heart as soon as possible. With his spear techniques, he would then use the extreme piercing secret skill, Stellaris, to kill the mutated beasts. The secret skill, Stellaris, combined with the great chaotic true force, had an extremely high penetrative power, capable of piercing through the mutated beasts. Occasionally, he would use the Star Meteor Annihilation. There are still more than 20? Donghua Shuang sighed inwardly. I really can't look down on them. Chapter 460. For Big Brother Whitesand's bet, I have to give it my all. Although Donghua Shuang was training his secret art, he was also trying to kill the black-scaled mutated beasts as fast as he could. Whenever one appeared, he would kill it immediately. These mutated beasts are getting stronger and stronger. My other secret arts are no longer effective against them. I have to use Star Meteor Annihilation. Even his extreme piercing secret art Star Cluster was barely able to pierce a hole. His chaotic suppression could only cause them to vomit blood. However, these injuries were too light. It would probably take him 2 to 3 breaths of time to kill a mutated beast with his mirage body. Too slow. He had to rely on Star Meteor Annihilation. Donghua Shuang used his spear techniques and Star Meteor Annihilation to barely maintain his efficiency. Could it be that I can't enter the top 20? Zhang Zhao's ugly face was filled with unwillingness. His figure was like a ghost as he circled around a black-scaled mutated beast. 2 demonic blood-colored saber lights slashed at its body, barely leaving a small wound. However, these small wounds were instantly healed. No matter how he attacked, he could no longer kill another mutated beast. Every breath of time, another mutated beast would appear. Currently, there were a total of 3 mutated beasts surrounding him. Zhang Xiao was having a hard time dealing with them. Master, there are still 26 of them inside. Zhang Xiao received a message from his servant. However, he was unwilling to give up. During the ranking battle, he was ranked 27th, which made him very proud. Thus he was even more desperate this time. For mutated beasts. 5 mutated beasts. All of them had come to surround him. Zhang Xiao was like a stray dog that had lost its master. He desperately tried to escape. However, these mutated beasts were all proficient in different laws of profound mysteries. They could travel through the void and even use hallucinatory techniques to surround him. Master, there are still 25 left. I admit defeat. Zhang Xiao finally gave up resisting. South. His entire body was expelled from the spherical cage. In midair, a wound could be seen on his chest. The wound had already healed. He raised his head and looked at the floating spherical cages around him. This time I've already risked my life, but I'm only ranked 25th. There are indeed many experts within the Calm Sea Prefecture, and even though I'm an inner disciple of a powerful existence, I'm nothing much. I'm not even in the top 10. He descended. Countless spectators were extremely excited at this moment, and they were all discussing spiritedly, because the further they went, the more exciting it would be. Those at the very front were all fighting with their lives on the line. 20, the emissary said calmly. 10. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary's voice was clearly much louder, and it reverberated throughout the world like a clap of thunder. 9. 8. At this moment, 7th Meiyu was in a frenzied state. Inside the cage, the petals fluttered and floated around the entire spherical cage. When they came into contact with the black-scaled exotic beasts, they exploded with a powerful force. As for the white-robed 7th Meiyu, his swordsmanship was incomparably elegant. His figure was so fast that he left behind a series of afterimages. Each of these afterimages circled around a mutated beast, and the sword light landed on the mutated beast again and again. As the power of the sword light increased, its power grew stronger and stronger. It was unknown how many swords had fallen into the countless sword lights. It was as if the mutated beast had been trapped in a trap, unable to break free no matter how hard it struggled. Finally, the body of the mutated beast was sliced apart and dissipated. However, the number of mutated beasts around him had already increased to 3, and in just a breath's time there were 4. Looks like I can't hold on any longer. 7th Meiyu used her movement technique to avoid the other mutated beasts and focus on one. However, as the number of mutated beasts increased, it became more and more difficult for him to fight. He was even forced to defend himself and was unable to kill any more mutated beasts. Very quickly, 5 mutated beasts surrounded 7th Meiyu, each of them extremely powerful. I admit defeat. 7th Meiyu finally admitted defeat. When he admitted defeat, he was ranked 7th in this survival battle. Her Highness Meiyu's movement technique is extremely powerful, giving her an advantage in this survival battle. Her sword technique is a perfect set of secret techniques. She is also proficient in both escaping and defending. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head to look at 7th Meiyu, who had already been expelled from the cage, as well as the 6 other ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. To be ranked 7th, that's not bad. Her Highness Meiyu tends to be more balanced, and her killing moves are slightly weaker. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace commented with a smile. Old brother White Sand, the situation is becoming more and more obvious. I'm afraid that you're going to lose miserably in this gamble, King Ronghai teased. Old brother White Sand, if you don't have enough treasures, I can postpone the 15 million deity crystals you lost to me. Shut your mouth. The White Sand City Lord nervously stroked his beard as he stared at the 3 strongest ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. It's not the end yet. Don't be too happy. Even an idiot can see that Dongbua is about to die. The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity sneered. Big brother White Sand, you've lost a total of 100 million deity crystals with the few of us added together. Marshal Qin looked up and nodded lightly. Donghua should be third, drunk guest second, and Joshi first. This could be seen from the battle scene. Currently, there were 6 people still fighting, and the other 3 were already in a difficult situation and could give up at any moment. Donghua, drunk guest, and Joshi could still hold on for a while longer. However, Donghua's situation was the most dangerous. He was currently relying on his mirage body to block the attacks, fleeing and fighting at the same time. In reality, it was very difficult for even his star meteor annihilation to kill a single mutated beast. At most, it could injure them. Drunk guest was dressed in azure robes and wielding a sword with a single hand. His figure seemed to tear apart the world as he walked, and every single one of his sword strikes seemed capable of splitting the world apart. But now, every single one of the strange beasts was very powerful. Even drunk guests would need 2 breaths of time to kill a strange beast. Very soon, the number of mutated beasts in the cages had reached 2. It was destined that there would be even more. But at the very least, he could still kill more mutated beasts. Joshi was still the most relaxed one. He was dressed in white robes and had white hair. His white eyebrows fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were cold and sharp. His silhouettes were scattered throughout the cage, and countless silhouettes were waving their hands at the same time. Besieging one mutated beast, the current black-scaled mutated beast was already very powerful. The black-scaled mutated beast roared and attacked Joshi. However, the countless silhouettes of Joshi were easily destroyed even if they were attacked. Then the silhouettes of Joshi would appear in another area. The number of silhouettes of Joshi was forever innumerable. They would always wave their palms and hack at the same time. The besieged area would be directly destroyed, but the black-scaled mutated beast would only be injured. Normally, it would take multiple simultaneous attacks before a black-scaled mutated beast would finally dissipate. However, at the very least, he could still kill one mutated beast in a single breath of time. Therefore, there would always be only one black-scaled mutated beast in the cage. Joshi should be able to hold on for a while longer. He is the most relaxed compared to the others. The speed at which drunk guest kills the mutated beasts can no longer keep up with the rate at which the mutated beasts are born. It won't be long before he loses. Dongbo can no longer kill the black-scaled mutated beasts, and there are already 2 mutated beasts in his cage. He will most likely be the first to fall. The Ink Cloud City Lord evaluated. The yellow-robed venomous Ing World deity was even more pleased. Big Brother White Sand, you will definitely lose. He won't be able to turn the tables. It doesn't matter how strong Dongbo's defenses are. The moment he is captured alive by the mutated beasts, he will be thrown out of the cage. They all watched on. The White Sand City Lord watched on silently. He stared upward, hoping for a miracle to happen. However, deep in his heart he felt regret. Who asked you to be so insolent? Who asked you to be so hot-headed? You thought that you would do it again after earning so much last time? In the end, Brother Dongbo has only cultivated for around 2,000 years. His cultivation time is too short, and he is at a disadvantage in this aspect. Hurry up and watch. Monarch Imo Shui laughed as he spoke to the calm Sea Prefecture Master beside him. Look at the expression of that rat. If he loses 100 million deity crystals, his heart will ache. The calm Sea Prefecture Master shook his head with a smile. His losses are truly disastrous. Within Donghua Shuiying's spherical cage, at this moment, there were already 2 black-scaled mutated beasts. 2 starry blue-robed Donghua Shuiying were fleeing while simultaneously attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. His star meteor annihilation was barely able to pierce a bloody hole through the mutated beast's scales before being blocked by its muscles. Such an injury was not enough to claim the life of a mutated beast. I can't allow the number of mutated beasts to increase. Donghua Shuiying glanced outside. Through the walls of the cage, he could see that there were 2 other spherical cages where Drunk Guest and Joshi were still fighting. I have to give it my all, Donghua Shuiying thought. Suddenly, 4 starry blue-robed youths appeared out of thin air on the vast dark land of the cage. That's right, 4. These 4 starry blue-robed youths each wielded a spear and were frantically attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. Pooh! 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 All 4 of them used their star meteor annihilation, causing the surrounding dark stars to expand and collapse into a single point. Bloody holes appeared on the black-scaled mutated beast's body, causing it to howl in pain. However, after the 4 Dongbua Shuiyings unleashed tens of spear strikes, the scales on the black-scaled mutated beast's back had long since been completely torn apart, revealing its bones. The 4 Dongbua Shuiyings all used their chaotic suppression, furiously hacking downwards. Without the protection of the black scales, the black-scaled mutated beast's body exploded. Their strongest attacks landed on the bones on the black-scaled mutated beast's back, causing its body to explode. How powerful were the 4 Dongbua Shuiying's attacks? I really don't want to use this secret technique, Dongbua Shuiying muttered to himself. Mirage secret technique. Condensing reality. Back at Crimson Rock Mountain, Dongbua Shuiying had created this technique when he was only at the stage 3 realm of the true meaning of mirage. After becoming a world deity after comprehending the grade 1 deity heart, the world deity heart, Dongbua Shuiying had comprehended several secret techniques of the world deity heart, including the world true body secret technique. With a single thought, he could form 8 world true bodies at the same time. If he did not use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart and mainly relied on the profound mysteries of mirage, even if he was a world deity with the world deity heart, Dongbua Shuiying could only perfect the condensing reality to the point of forming 3 mirage bodies. First becoming a world deity, and then focusing on the condensing reality would only allow him to form 3 bodies. If he wanted more, then he would have to use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart. Thus Dongbua Shuiying felt that this was bullying. After all, the combined might of 4 was more than double that of 2. Mirage secret technique? This brat? On the high platform, even the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Imo Shui jumped in fright. The White Sand City Lord, Ink Cloud City Lord, Venomous Ing World Deity, King Rong Hai Marshal Qin, and the emissary were all shocked as well. For bodies? Every single one of them could display the same combat power as the true body? The Mirage secret technique can be displayed to such an extent? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master was incomparably shocked. Truly formidable. The World True Body secret technique created by a world deity with the world deity heart should at most be able to form 9 world true bodies. By relying on the Mirage secret technique, he can form a total of 3 Mirage bodies. His attainments in the Mirage have already reached an astonishing level. His attainments in the Mirage deity heart are even higher than his star deity heart. Monarch Imo Shui sighed in admiration. His star deity heart will most likely need a period of time to evolve into the chaotic deity heart. But the Mirage deity heart will most likely evolve into the world deity heart at any moment. Amen. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. We've misjudged him. So his strongest aspect is the Mirage deity heart. My head is a little tired, so I'll only take one night today. Star. Chapter 461. Within the spherical cages high up in the sky, only 3 were still battling. They were none other than Dongbua, Drunk Guest, and Jiu Shi. Previously, Dongbua Shuiying was already having a hard time and was about to lose. However, suddenly 4 Dongbua Shuiying appeared within the spherical cages. The 4 Dongbua Shuiying worked together to unleash the star meteor annihilation, causing the black-scaled mutated beast to howl in agony. At the same time, they unleashed the chaotic suppression, causing the mutated beast's body to dissipate. With the 4 of them working together, the mutated beasts had no way of escaping. In the blink of an eye, the cage was emptied. Wow! Dongbua is too formidable. His combat power has increased by so much. The mutated beasts have all been killed. The various life forms who had rushed over to spectate the battle were all astonished by what they saw. From their point of view, the mutated beast's combat power could easily kill a large group of peak stage deities, yet Shuiying was still able to forcibly kill them. I heard that this Dongbua has only cultivated for 2,000 years or so. How is he so powerful? My clan's ancestor bought a report. According to the report, this Dongbua has only cultivated for 2,300 years or so. With such a short period of cultivation, his attainments in both the Mirage and Star deity hearts are so high. In my opinion, he might even be able to grasp a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Grasping a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years? Doesn't that mean he has become a personal disciple of a powerful existence? That's hard to say. To be able to reach such a realm after cultivating for 2,000 years, he might be stuck here for tens of thousands of years. Even if he can't break through with the star deity heart, he should be able to break through with the mirage deity heart, right? In my opinion, this Donghua has a high chance of grasping a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Countless spectators were discussing amongst themselves. A grade 1 true meaning transcendent? That was a legend. Who knew how many billions of years it would take for one to appear? The moment one appeared, all powerful existences would fight to take him in as a disciple. Some powerful existences would even disregard their reputation and think of ways to get rid of him as soon as possible. The second best would be to grasp a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Compared to grade 1 true meaning transcendence, there were slightly more of them, and powerful existences would not be so shameless as to act so viciously against them. Under normal circumstances, they would be able to cultivate to the stage 3 world deity realm, with a few even becoming stage 4 world deities. With this kind of potential, he could easily become a personal disciple of an almighty being. He was worthy of being nurtured by an almighty being. He's actually this powerful? The silver-robed General Ying, who was surrounded and protected by a group of soldiers, had an increasingly ugly expression on his face, and a crazed look could be seen in his eyes. Why is it that he has only cultivated for 2,000 years, yet his star deity heart and mirage deity heart have reached such heights? What about me? Why can't I make any progress? General Ying raised his head. His vision began to distort, and his true deity heart began to tremble. Why? I can't accept this. I can't accept it. Destroy him. Destroy him. General Ying's eyes began to glow with a bloody light, and his body began to tremble. The expression of the gray-robed elder behind him changed when he saw this. He immediately reached out and grabbed General Ying, using his surging world deity energy to seal the deity energy within General Ying's body. General Ying was unable to resist, and he could not help but stare at the gray-robed elder with a savage expression. Are you courting death? General Ying has gone mad again. Bring him back. The gray-robed elder ordered the surrounding soldiers. General Ying's true deity heart was getting closer and closer to collapsing, so his aunt, the venomous Ying world deity, had long since ordered that the moment General Ying went mad, he was to be captured and brought back so as not to embarrass her in the Calm Sea Prefecture city. Hua! The group of soldiers quickly retreated with General Ying in tow. However, among the countless spectators, General Ying's group was just a drop in the ocean. In another location, the deities of the Xia people, as well as Jing Qiu, were all watching with incomparable excitement and joy. Donghua is truly formidable. He has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet he has already surpassed all the other deities. Amazing! He truly deserves to be the strongest deity in the history of our Xia people. The Purple Thunder Emperor, Yun Hai, and the others were all incomparably proud and excited. Jing Qiu, on the other hand, had a faint smile on her face as she watched. Her eyes, however, were shining brightly. As a wife, she was naturally very happy to see her husband like this. On the high platform. Ha ha ha. The White Sand City Lord was laughing in an exceptionally carefree manner. He stroked his beard and glanced at the ugly expression on the venomous Ying world deity's face, then at the other deities. Everyone, it's too early for you to celebrate. You all thought that Joshi was hiding his strength. Did Donghua not hide his strength? Ha ha ha, how about it? Are you convinced of your loss? Don't be anxious. It's not the end yet. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head. Brother White Sand, aren't you celebrating a little too early? Marshal Qin also raised her head. That's right. The three of them haven't given up yet. Who knows who will be first or second? The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity sneered. Everyone present could see it clearly. Currently, within the spherical cage, Donghua Shuang held the greatest advantage. After all, the difference in strength between the three of them was not that big. Donghua Shuang's Mirage secret skill, condensing reality, had more than doubled his strength. From the speed at which he killed the mutated beasts, it could be seen that Donghua was going to be ranked first. Not good. King Ronghai suddenly shouted. I admit defeat. Within the three spherical cages that were still fighting in the sky, Drunk Guest suddenly opened his mouth. Who? He was expelled out of the cage. Standing there, he sheathed his deity sword and looked at the other two cages that were still fighting. He lightly shook his head. I've already displayed my strength to the limit. If I want to improve further, I'll have to grasp a grade 1 deity heart. Losing to the two of them is something I'm convinced of. He then flew downwards. Haha, venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord immediately turned to the yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity. It's hard to say who will be first and second, but the third place has already been decided. It's Drunk Guest. It's a pity that you bet on Donghua being third, right? The yellow-robed venomous Ying world deity had an ugly expression on her face. She sneered and did not say anything else. Even if her skin was thicker, losing 10 million deity crystals had left her feeling sullen and speechless. Joshi's killing the mutated beasts is getting slower and slower. The Ink Cloud City Lord and the others were all frowning. Could it be that you, White Sand, are still going to kill them all? Marshal Qin felt helpless. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard in a pleased manner. In his heart, however, he was muttering to himself, "This little brother of mine is truly formidable." Previously, I only set up this bet because I wanted to vent my anger. Who would have thought that Donghua was actually hiding his true strength during the ranking battle? The Mirage Deity Heart. His Mirage secret skill is actually able to produce 3 Mirage bodies. This little brother of mine is truly formidable. He might even become a world deity within 10,000 years. At the highest point of the high platform, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui raised their heads to watch. This Donghua does indeed have great potential. It's a pity that he has never had a good teacher to guide him. Monarch Mo Shui could not help but comment, just look at his Star Deity Heart secret skill. There are still some laughable mistakes. His Mirage secret skill can produce 3 bodies, and he has indeed reached a certain pinnacle. However, this is also a waste of his talent. Twice the effort for half the result. What, are you getting impatient? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master laughed. Seeing someone with potential who could clearly grasp a grade 1 deity heart even faster, yet he's still stumbling along the way, it's only natural for me to be impatient. Monarch Mo Shui shook his head. For example, this Mirage secret skill requires the Mirage Deity Heart to evolve into the World Deity Heart. What is the World Deity Heart? The World Deity Heart specializes in domains. Thus, for the Mirage Deity Heart to evolve into the World Deity Heart, a bit more effort should be put into the domain aspect. But what about him? He's actually focused on the remote Mirage True Body. Although he studied it to the pinnacle, it's clearly a strenuous and unrewarding task. Monarch Mo Shui sighed. Ha ha ha, you can't even get a disciple even if you want to, yet you're still talking so much. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master teased. It's true that I can't. Not to mention the fact that my true deity heart is about to collapse. Even if it hadn't, a stage 4 world deity wouldn't be able to snatch such a disciple. Monarch Mo Shui nodded and sighed. This Donghua might have made many laughable mistakes on his path of cultivation, but he still managed to reach such heights. As long as he takes a powerful existence as his master and receives their guidance, he'll be able to quickly walk down the correct path. There's a high chance of him reaching a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Right. Drunk Guest has the guidance of a powerful existence, so his sword techniques are completely following the path of the splitting heavens deity heart. His breakthroughs are much smoother, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. From their point of view, the Mirage Deity Heart needed to evolve into a World Deity Heart. One should follow the main path and advance along the main path. Donghua Shuang had walked on a small path, the Mirage Bodies. He had already reached the pinnacle of this path. He had already created 3 Mirage Bodies. However, although he was extremely close to breaking through to the World Deity Heart, the difficulty was still much higher. Still, with the guidance of a powerful existence, they were certain that he had a high chance of grasping a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. It's almost over. Monarch Mo Shui looked upwards. In your Calm Sea Prefecture, Joshi is first, Donghua is second, and Drunk Guest is third. They're all not bad. You've gained quite a bit of face during the Bloodshed God Palace's Myriad Flower Feast. Star. Chapter 462. Of the 250 ball-shaped cages in the sky, 2 were still fighting. These were the cages where Jiushi and Dongbua Shuiying were fighting. The white-robed, white-haired, white-brows and white-robed Jiushi still exuded an extraordinary aura. His countless figures were scattered across every corner of the cage, each of them waving their hands furiously, injuring mutated beasts time and time again. It was already a breath's worth of time before he could barely kill a mutated beast. Jiushi frowned as he looked in a certain direction. There was a ball-shaped cage where Dongbua Shuiying was currently fighting. This Dongbua has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet his attainments in both the Mirage Deity Heart and Star Deity Heart have reached such a high level. Does he not know how to focus on one path? Becoming a world deity first? Jiushi muttered to himself. He probably doesn't have a teacher to guide him, so he has to bury his head in cultivation. I originally thought that using this secret skill would be enough for me to take first place in the survival battle. Who would have thought that this Dongbua would be so powerful? It seems like I'll have to reveal my true strength. I originally wanted to do so in front of His Majesty and the powerful existences. However, I still have to take first place in the Kamsi Prefecture survival battle. Otherwise, I won't even be able to take first place. In the future, when I become a disciple of a powerful existence, I will be mocked by my fellow disciples, Jiushi thought. Boom, the countless Jiushi figures scattered across every corner of the cage, all waved their palms at the same time. Countless illusory palms rapidly converged to form a huge golden palm. This golden palm occupied nearly half of the ball-shaped cage before abruptly pressing downwards. Pooh! As the golden palm pressed downwards, everything in its path was annihilated. Even the black-scaled mutated beast was directly crushed into nothingness. What? How is this possible? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, the venomous Ying World Deity, the Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin and King Ronghai, the spectators of the various races, as well as the deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu, all stared at this scene in astonishment. At this point in the survival battle, just how powerful were the mutated beasts that were born? Drunk guests could no longer kill mutated beasts. Even the 4 Dongbua Shuiying figures had to work together to kill one. But Jiushi could kill it in one move? Boundless Deity Heart? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, and the Ink Cloud City Lord exchanged glances. This Jiushi actually mastered the Boundless Deity Heart? Marshal Qin exclaimed. A Grade 1 Deity Heart? Boundless Deity Heart. What a good Jiushi! He has already grasped a Grade 1 Deity Heart, yet he waited until now to use it. Maybe he broke through in the midst of battle? King Ronghai said with a chuckle. Breaking through and grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart? How could there be such a coincidence? The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. I'm guessing that this Jiushi has long since grasped the Boundless Deity Heart. It's just that he hasn't been in a hurry to use it. To be able to grasp the Boundless Deity Heart after cultivating for nearly 6 million years, that's already pretty good. Brother Whitesand, it looks like this Jiushi is the number 1 and Dongbua is number 2. You won't be able to earn any divine crystals from us. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, Marshal Qin, and the others also laughed. Even though Dongbua Shuiying was ranked 2nd and they did not make any losses, they were still very happy. Previously, they had thought that they would lose 10 million divinity crystals. Now they had recovered their capital. Only the venomous Ying World Deity remained silent, because she was the only one who lost. Fortunately, I made some money from venomous Ying. The White Sand City Lord deliberately made things clear. Humph, venomous Ying World Deity sneered. I really didn't expect that one of the experts from my Kamsi Prefecture participating this time would have a Grade 1 Deity Heart. The Ink Cloud City Lord exclaimed. According to past experience, the number of people who have grasped a Grade 1 Deity Heart in every myriad flower feast can be counted on one hand. The Bloodshed God Palace has a total of 19 prefectures, yet my Kamsi Prefecture has 1. How rare. Yes, with a Boundless Deity Heart, this Jiushi will definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the myriad flower feast. Everyone present nodded. In the past, there had always been a few deities who had grasped a Grade 1 Deity Heart in the myriad flower feast. In the earliest days there was even a debate. Should anyone with a Grade 1 Deity Heart be banned from participating? However, there were those who rebutted, a deity will break through during the myriad flower feast, greatly increasing their strength. Are they going to be eliminated? That doesn't make sense. There were also those who said, who knows if he broke through during the battle or if he had grasped it long ago? In the end, it was His Majesty who decided. As long as one has cultivated for 11 million years and uses deity energy, even if one grasps a grade 1 deity heart, they can still participate. Because grasping a grade 1 deity heart was extremely difficult. Most deities would cultivate for more than 100 million years before becoming world deities, such as the sorcerer god. His talent was not bad, and he had also cultivated for more than 100 million years. More than 90% of world deities had spent more than 100 million years in the deity realm. Even so, the number of world deities in a star field could be counted on one's fingers. And to grasp a grade 1 deity heart within 11 million years, let alone the territory of the bloodshed god palace, even in the entire deity world, there were only about 10 or 20 such people in every myriad flower feast. In addition, their talent was not bad, and most of them were already under the tutelage of powerful existences. Some even belonged to the temporal island or the myriad god palace, so they would not participate in the myriad flower feast. After all, as long as they participated in the bloodshed god palace battle, they would naturally become a member of the bloodshed god palace. If they did not wish to join the bloodshed god palace, then they would not participate in the battle. They would not be qualified to enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. Thus, in every myriad flower feast, there were only a few who grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Their eyesight is still somewhat lacking. They only discovered now that Zhou Shi grasped a boundless deity heart. Monarch Mo Shui looked down at the White Sand City Lord and the other 5, then said to the Calm Sea Prefecture Master, the secret skill Zhou Shi used previously, which allowed him to split himself into countless bodies, might not be eye-catching, but it still contains some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. During the arena battle, when Zhou Shi split himself into countless bodies and killed his opponent with a single move, Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master had discovered it. After all, this secret skill contains some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. Zhou Shi was not afraid of exposing himself, and he also wanted to get first place. That was why he used such a secretive move, even though it contained a small amount of the boundless divine heart's profoundness. Even though it contained some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries, Zhou Shi felt that he should not be discovered. As for being forced by Dongbua Shuiying to the very end, Zhou Shi no longer concealed himself and directly revealed his full strength. I can't blame them, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master continued, the boundless deity heart is extremely rare even amongst grade 1 deity hearts. Bai Sha and the others have yet to grasp the boundless deity heart, and the secret skill they used previously was rather hidden. Naturally, they would not be able to tell. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. Grade 1 deity heart. Most world deities would have a spacetime deity heart, extremity deity heart, creation deity heart, primal deity heart, and world deity heart. As for the boundless deity heart, it was extremely rare. It was just like how it was extremely rare for someone to comprehend the mirage deity heart from a grade 2 deity heart. The boundless deity heart was also extremely rare, as it represented a unique essence of the entire world. Even world deities would find it hard to comprehend it. Only after becoming a stage 4 world deity would they begin to comprehend it by analogy. Even if they did not completely grasp it, they would at least have a rough understanding of it. As such, both the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui were able to see through it. In truth, Zhou Shi had only managed to comprehend the boundless deity heart after being trapped in a certain place for many years due to a fortuitous encounter. It was there that he experienced the meaning of boundless and eventually grasped the boundless deity heart. The boundless deity heart was extremely rare, and its methods were extremely strange. It could be considered a school of its own. Formidable. Dongbua Shuiying also saw the scene of Zhou Shi's battle in the distant spherical cage. Countless illusory palms converged to form a huge golden palm. Its power shocked even Dongbua Shuiying. Unless I use a grade 1 deity heart, it's impossible for me to win. He's cultivated for nearly 6 million years. It's one thing for him to use a grade 1 deity heart. I've only cultivated my heart for 2,000 years or so. If I were to use a grade 1 deity heart, it would most likely be known to all powerful existences. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Forget it. Big Brother Whitesand also said that if I were ranked second, his bet wouldn't be too bad. Only if I were ranked third would he lose miserably. Dongbua Shuang immediately said, I admit defeat. Although he could still continue fighting, there was no need to delay any longer. Hua. He was directly expelled out of the spherical cage and into the air. Standing in midair and looking at the countless figures of Jiushi in the distant spherical cage, Dongbua Shuang could not help but sigh inwardly. Boundless? Is this the boundless deity heart of a grade 1 deity heart? No wonder I couldn't tell which of his countless bodies was the real one. So they were all fake. Or perhaps every single one of them could be the real one. The trillions of figures could all be fake. Or the real body could hide within one of them. Or the real body could be scattered among the trillions of bodies. For example, the chaotic deity heart and the extremity deity heart were both extremely powerful. However, when they encountered the boundless deity heart, they would find it troublesome. In fact, they might not even be able to touch the enemy. However, the deity heart that Dongbua Shuang grasped was the domain-type, world deity heart. Naturally, he was the world lord. The world suppression was a perfect counter to the boundless deity heart. I admit defeat. After Dongbua Shuang admitted defeat, the countless figures of Jiushi instantly dissipated, leaving only a single figure. Dressed in white robes and with white hair, he indifferently glanced at Dongbua Shuang with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. In his opinion, he had grasped a grade 1 deity heart, so the myriad flower feast should have been a walk in the park. The champion of the Calm Sea Prefecture should naturally be him. As for Dongbua Shuang, while his potential was not bad, his actual strength? The gap between them was huge. Grade 1 deity heart? That Jiushi has grasped a grade 1 deity heart? He's that powerful. It's normal for Dongbua to lose to him. After all, the two of them aren't even on the same level. Countless spectators cried out in alarm. Jiushi was also expelled from the spherical cage. His lips curled into a smile as his gaze swept across the crowd. By then, Dongbua Shuang had already descended and returned to his original position. Brother Dongbua, I didn't think that Jiushi would have already grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Losing to him is something that can't be helped. 7th Mayu said with a smile. It can't be helped. Dongbua Shuang did not seem to mind at all. At this time, the voice of the Bloodshed God Palace's emissary resounded through the sky. The Calm Sea Prefecture selection for the Myriad Flower Feast has ended, and the top 100 have been selected. These 100 will set off for the Bloodshed God Palace in 3 years. Star. Chapter 463. The Legion soldiers maintained order, and the spectators began to disperse. Dongbua Shuang, drunk guest, and the others returned to their own caverns. On the high platform, the White Sand City Lord and the others stood up to leave. After all, the 3 selections of the Calm Sea Prefecture had ended, and there was no need for them to stay any longer. Old Brother Whitesand, are you going to the Bloodshed God Palace? King Ronghai asked. Even if it's for his brother Dongbua, he'll still go and spectate. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed from the side. The White Sand City Lord grinned, stroking his beard in delight. Ink Cloud City Lord, you guessed correctly. I'm indeed going to the Bloodshed God Palace to take a look, and see which powerful existence my brother Dongbua will eventually become the disciple of. You don't need to worry about that. That little fellow Dongbua is extremely talented, the Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently. The Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently. He's already this strong in just over 2,300 years. His Mirage Deity Heart and Star Deity Heart both have a chance of breaking through. Under the guidance of a powerful existence, he has a high chance of breaking through to grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. With such potential, powerful existences will definitely be willing to take the initiative to choose him. I'm not worried about whether or not he'll be chosen by a powerful existence. The White Sand City Lord shook his head. If even someone with Dongbua's potential isn't chosen, how many others will? On the surface, Jiushi might be stronger than Dongbua Shuang, but Jiushi had cultivated for nearly 6 million years. His potential was far inferior to Dongbua Shuiying's. What I'm slightly worried about is whether or not Dongbua has any hope of becoming the disciple of one of those three. The White Sand City Lord was filled with anticipation. Those three, Marshal Qin, King Ronghai, and the others could not help but shake their heads. Difficult. Reporting to Prefecture Master. The Calm Sea Prefecture's selections have ended. I'll be returning to the Bloodshed God Palace first, the emissary said to the Prefecture Master. Go. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace was supposed to report the situation of the survival battle as soon as possible so that it could be sorted into more detailed reports and sent to the powerful existences. Facing this river, even world deities would not be able to fly. They had to take a boat to cross it. This river, which was born out of the void, encircled a vast continent in the starry sky. The length of this river was millions and millions of kilometers, so long that it was hard to even count it. Even the Calm Sea Prefecture city, which was as big as it was, could only barely match the width of this river. There were countless cultivators on this continent. In the center of the continent was a luxurious black palace. In a garden within the black palace, a black-robed, black-haired old man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He seemed to have no aura at all, as if he had become one with the palace, the continent, and even the surging void river. Master! A beautiful woman in red walked in and looked at him nervously before speaking respectfully. The black-robed, black-haired old man opened his eyes and looked at the red-robed woman. This is an intelligence report sent over by the Bloodshed God Palace. The selection of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace has concluded, with 100 candidates from each prefecture. In total, there is 1,900 candidates. The red-robed woman respectfully handed over a blood-colored scroll, which immediately floated in front of the black-robed, black-haired old man. With a single glance, the old man understood everything. Not bad. There are quite a few outstanding youngsters in this myriad flower feast. The black-robed, black-haired old man sighed. Is there anyone that you want, master? The red-robed woman asked with a smile. 2 or 3. The one I like the most is a brat called Dongbua. It's a pity that I didn't take a fancy to him. I reckon that many other powerful existences will take a fancy to him as well. I wonder who he'll eventually become a disciple of. If master wants to fight, he'll definitely be able to, the red-robed woman said. His Majesty hasn't accepted a disciple in a long time, so it's unlikely that he will, the black-robed, black-haired old man said. I'm just afraid that those 3 will try to snatch him from me. Those 3? The red-robed woman was startled. As the news spread, many of the powerful existences who were about to participate in the myriad flower feast came to know of the young geniuses with great potential. Drunk Guest, for example, was a pretty good candidate, but he was already the personal disciple of the powerful Yugong. There were not many who were sufficiently talented but didn't have a powerful existence as a master. Moreover, if one's potential wasn't too dazzling, the powerful existences wouldn't bother fighting over it. After all, it didn't make much of a difference. Thus, there were only a few people worth fighting over. Eastern Europe's Snow Eagle was one of them. Calm Sea Prefecture. Dongbua Shuiying's cavern dwelling, within a cultivation room. I hope that I can become a disciple of His Majesty God Emperor during this myriad flower feast, Dongbua Shuiying thought. However, His Majesty is the strongest expert in the deity world, so there's not much meaning in accepting a disciple. It's been a long time since he's accepted a disciple. It'd be great if I could become a disciple of one of the 3 ancestors. Powerful existences. They transcended the river of time and were truly eternal existences. Although stage 4 world deities were rare, and taking that step to become a powerful existence was difficult, the Bloodshed God Palace still had 23 powerful existences. Over the long years, the Bloodshed God Palace had a total of 23 powerful existences. The most dazzling of them all was His Majesty Bloodblade. The second was the 3rd ancestor. Only after that were the other 19 powerful existences. The 3rd ancestor, the first was called the Monarch of Destruction. He was originally the Abyss Monarch of one of the layers of the Dark Abyss, and one of the earliest powerful existences in the Dark Abyss. His age could even be ranked in the top 3. When his avatar arrived in the deity world, he took in a disciple while roaming the deity world. That disciple was the current Bloodblade. As an ancient monarch of the Dark Abyss, he gradually improved as he taught Bloodblade. Although his current combat power was no longer comparable to that of his disciple, he was still stronger than most powerful existences. Furthermore, he specialized in teaching disciples. Over the long years, other than Bloodblade, he had taught a total of 5 powerful existences. Thus, even though he was born in the Dark Abyss, the Monarch of Destruction had an extremely high status within the Bloodshed God Palace. He was greatly respected, and he usually resided within the Bloodshed God Palace's territory. The second was called Pang Yi. Pang Yi was one of the earliest savage existences born in the deity world. During the earliest era of the deity world, there were many deity world creatures. They slaughtered each other, and only 5 of them managed to survive and become powerful existences. They were also known as the Fierce 5 of the deity world. Pang Yi was the head of the Fierce 5. The other 4 were at the standard of ordinary powerful existences. Only Pang Yi was much stronger. The third was called the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture was also one of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was only a stage 4 world deity. According to logic, the longer a stage 4 world deity lived, their temperament would gradually change, to the point where they could no longer maintain their original heart. An ordinary stage 4 world deity would live for 10 billion years, or at most a few billion years. Very few could live beyond 20 billion years. But the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had already lived for 500 billion years, and was the longest living stage 4 world deity. Even now, there were no signs of his true deity heart crumbling. Furthermore, his combat power was exceptionally strong, even stronger than ordinary powerful existences. He was one of the 3 ancestors. In the deity world and Dark Abyss, there were no longer any extravagant hopes that his true deity heart would crumble. After all, ordinary stage 4 world deities could only live for 10 billion years, but what about him? He had lived for far too long. There were even some powerful existences who had fallen, and none of them had lived as long as he did. Even though he was not a powerful existence, everyone treated him as one, and ordinary powerful existences had to treat him with respect. Sacred Master Crimson Dust, for instance, had clearly not lived as long as the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The 3 ancestors' combat power far surpasses that of ordinary powerful existences. Dongbua Shuiying thought, it's just that once their combat power reaches this level, they don't care much about accepting disciples. Dongbua, Her Highness Meiyu has come to visit. Jing Qiu's voice came from outside the cultivation room. Chapter 464. As soon as Dongbua Shuiying left the cultivation room, he saw 7th Meiyu standing in the courtyard. 7th Meiyu still had the appearance of a white-robed handsome youth. He turned his head and smiled. Brother Dongbua, my father wishes to meet you. Your father. Dongbua Shuiying was startled. May I ask? My father is Monarch Mo Shui. 7th Meiyu did not hide anything. Monarch Mo Shui? Dongbua Shuiying suddenly understood. He had been wondering why Monarch Mo Shui had come to watch the Kamsi Prefecture selections. So it turned out that his children had come as well. He had only heard that Monarch Mo Shui had 6 daughters. 7th Meiyu was only at the deity realm, so she was clearly much younger. Could it be that Monarch Mo Shui finally had a son? Jing Qiu, who was standing to the side, was also somewhat startled. Monarch Mo Shui wishes to meet the Snow Eagle? Amends 7th Meiyu nodded. My father is currently at my cave residence. Brother Dongbua, let's head over first. Jing Qiu, I'll be heading over first, Dongbua Shuiying said. Since Monarch Mo Shui had summoned him, he naturally could not be negligent. Jing Qiu nodded lightly, sending Dongbua Shuiying and 7th Meiyu off with her gaze. Within the hall of 7th Meiyu's cave residence, Monarch Mo Shui was seated cross-legged. Upon entering, Dongbua Shuiying respectfully greeted. Junior Dongbua pays his respects to Monarch. Have a seat, Monarch Mo Shui said with a smile. Dongbua Shuiying immediately sat down behind a table, while 7th Meiyu sat opposite him. Within the hall were Monarch Mo Shui, Dongbua, 7th Meiyu, and the attendants. I've watched all of your battles, Monarch Emo Shui said. Monarch Emo Shui said, although your potential is not bad, you have taken many detours, and even made many laughable mistakes. You should have never received pointers from powerful beings, not even Stage 4 world deities have given you pointers, right? Stage 4 world deities were just one step away from becoming powerful existences, and their understanding of the laws of the world was already incomparably close to that of powerful existences. Yes, this junior has always been exploring the path of cultivation, Dongbua Shuiying replied respectfully. No wonder. Tell me about the secret skill of your star divine heart. Monarch Emo Shui casually pointed, and a long spear appeared in midair. The spear technique displayed by this long spear was precisely chaotic crushing suppression. At Monarch Emo Shui's level, he had long grasped the chaotic whole deity heart. Therefore, imitating this secret skill was simply a walk in the park. Look at this secret skill of yours. The moment this Monarch Emo Shui came, he began to give pointers. This made Dongbua Shuiying secretly suspicious. Why did this Monarch Emo Shui treat him so well? You think highly of my potential? But in the eyes of others, he was not a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. It was unknown how long it would take for him to become a stage 3 or 4 world deity. Even though Dongbua Shuiying was perplexed, he still listened attentively. After all, such guidance was extremely precious. This finger poke, it lasted for a full 2 days. 7th Meiyu had been drinking fruit wine by the side, watching calmly. Monarch Emo Shui was in high spirits as he gave pointers. Dongbua Shuiying would often raise many doubts. From this, Monarch Emo Shui could feel that Dongbua Shuiying's comprehension ability was extremely high. Alright, let's stop here. Monarch Emo Shui stopped. Only then did Dongbua Shuiying reluctantly stop. After 2 days of teaching, he was no longer as unfamiliar with Monarch Emo Shui. Even though they were not master and disciple in name, there was some truth to it. One must know that it was rare for an inner disciple of a powerful existence to receive pointers. This kind of wholehearted guidance for 2 consecutive days was more than what many inner disciples of powerful existences received in a lifetime. Senior, why do you treat me? Dongbua Shuiying could not help but ask. Let's form karma. Monarch Emo Shui smiled. 3 years later, you will head to the Bloodshed God Palace. At that time, I'm afraid there will be many powerful existences willing to accept you as a disciple. Have you decided who to choose? Of course, the stronger the master, the better. Dongbua Shuiying honestly said. If I can become His Majesty's disciple, that would naturally be the best. Being able to become the disciple of the 3 ancestors is already a great fortune. If not, then I'll choose the one that suits me. Monarch Emo Shui nodded. His Majesty has not accepted disciples for a long time. His Majesty will not care about grade 1 true meaning transcendence. But the 3 ancestors, you have some hope. Let me remind you, of the 3 ancestors, the best would be Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, followed by Overlord Destruction, and finally Pang Yi. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is the best. Dongbua Shuiying was shocked. Isn't he a stage 4 world deity? Have you seen a stage 4 world deity who has lived for more than 500 billion years? Monarch Emo Shui shook his head, his voice low. What I've told you, you must not spread it. Yes. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is a stage 4 world deity on the surface, but in reality, he cannot be considered a world deity. Monarch Emo Shui's gaze was complicated. Cannot be considered a world deity? Dongbua Shuiying was puzzled. This old man, his absolute art has always been unwilling to be spread out. If I were to learn it, Monarch Emo Shui muttered. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He then grinned. Let's not talk about it anymore. In short, taking him as your teacher is absolutely not a mistake. As long as he is willing to accept you, you can immediately go and take him as your teacher. If your potential is really high enough to receive his attention and love, and learn that absolute art of his, then you really have to thank me. Junior understands. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. If the 3 ancestors do not invite you, then you can do as you see fit. Monarch Emo Shui said. After the discussion, Dongbua Shuiying also left and returned to his cave dwelling. In the following days, He would be in closed-door cultivation. This time, the guidance he received was of great help to him. Monarch Emo Shue's guidance was mainly on the star deity heart. As for the mirage deity heart, Monarch Emo Shue's guidance was very simple. It was to let him temporarily give up his research on the mirage body and focus more on the domain aspect. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. An extravagant starfield flying ship departed from the Calm Sea Prefecture. The Calm Sea Prefecture master was personally driving it, leading Dongbua Shui Ying and a large group of people. Riding on a starfield flying ship is truly comfortable. Standing on the deck and gazing at the colorful and flowing spacetime tunnel, Dongbua Shui Ying, Jing Qiu, the Purple Thunder Emperor, and the other deities of the Xia people were all sighing in amazement. Naturally, the other deities ranked in the top 100 were also watching with their subordinates and servants. If one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would feel as though one had sunk into a swamp. It would be extremely uncomfortable. The Purple Thunder Emperor sighed in admiration. But using a starfield flying ship is much more comfortable. Their surroundings were filled with colorful and flowing spacetime tunnels. This huge ship was flying within them. This flight, it took the time to brew a cup of tea, because the distance between the Calm Sea Prefecture and the Bloodshed God Palace was simply too great. Even if one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would still take the time taken to brew a cup of tea. To feel as though one was being squeezed by a swamp for the time taken to brew a cup of tea was truly suffering. Experts with sufficiently high statuses and strength, such as Stage 3 world deities, would usually have their own starfield flying ship. We're here. The colorful and flowing spacetime tunnel suddenly came to an end, and the ship instantly flew out. So this is the Bloodshed God Palace? Dongbua Shui Ying and the others all gasped in amazement at the dazzling scene before them. The Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast? A withered wooden ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Standing on it was a white-robed, bald youth. His eyes seemed to contain a boundless world, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. I heard that junior apprentice brother Dongbua is also participating in the myriad flower feast, and that he's quite dazzling in the Calm Sea Prefecture? As his senior apprentice brother, I'll definitely have to take a good look. A fiery red ship with flames rising from its surface. The fiery red ship passed through the spacetime tunnel and arrived in the starry sky outside the Bloodshed God Palace. Soon after, the ship disappeared. A white-haired, youthful-faced old man appeared with a smile on his face. This was none other than Chihua Laozu. I sent Dongbua to participate, but who would have thought that this kid would be so dazzling? In this myriad flower feast. In terms of potential, Dongbua Shui Ying could easily rank in the top 3. So. As the myriad flower feast began, many Stage 4 world deities and powerful existences were invited. Many of them were not from the Bloodshed God Palace's territory, and some were even from the Dark Abyss. They were all invited. Many ancient and mysterious existences from the deity world, as well as some who kept a low profile yet were extremely powerful, were invited one after another. As long as there was no enmity between them, they would still give face to the Blood Blade. Star. Chapter 466. Dongbua Shui Ying and the others stood on the deck of the starfield flying ship, looking at the dazzling scene in front of them. The Bloodshed God Palace. This is the Bloodshed God Palace. Everyone exclaimed. In the starry sky ahead of them was a floating continent. This continent was only slightly larger than the Calm Sea Prefecture city. There was a chain of palaces on the continent. Among them, the palace with the symbol of Blood Edge in the center was the tallest and most majestic. There were a total of 9 statues scattered around the 4 corners of the Bloodshed God Palace. These 9 statues were all kinds of beasts with armor on their bodies. Each of these mutated beasts was over 100 billion kilometers tall, second only to the main palace in the center. It's so beautiful. The entire Bloodshed God Palace emitted a misty rainbow light. This was because every palace building, every street, and even the surroundings of the 9 statues were covered with ancient arrays. These arrays were constantly drawing upon the power of heaven and earth, emitting all sorts of colorful lights. Thus, even though the Bloodshed God Palace was only this big, Its light illuminated hundreds of millions of kilometers. This isn't just beautiful. For these arrays to have such power when activated automatically, one can imagine how terrifying their true power is. 7th May you watched from afar. According to what I know, the Bloodshed God Palace was personally constructed by His Majesty, and it has been reinforced over countless years. Just the slightest release of power from these arrays is enough to kill powerful existences, much less world deities. Not even powerful existences can resist it. As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace, everyone present could only sigh in shock. After all, this was the core of the Bloodshed God Palace, and also the place where the strongest expert in the deity world, Bloodshed God Emperor, resided. To His Majesty God Emperor, killing ordinary powerful existences was a walk in the park. Thus, it was not strange for the arrays he had meticulously laid out to have such power. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master's ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Under the guidance of the Bloodshed God Palace's soldiers, everyone was taken to their respective residences. Donghua, this is where you and your companions will be staying, a muscular black-armored soldier said. I'm sure you all know the rules of the Bloodshed God Palace. If you break the rules and lose your life, it will be too late for regrets. We understand, Donghua Shuang said. All right, cultivate quietly. When the Myriad Flower Feast begins, you will be summoned to participate in the final Bloodshed God Palace battle, the black-armored soldier instructed, then turned around and left. Donghua Shuang sent him off with his eyes. To the side, the Dragon Mountain Emperor sighed. As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace. Even the most ordinary soldier is a world deity. Along the way, none of the soldiers I saw were deity rank. Long Shan, the Purple Thunder Emperor, laughed. The legions of the Bloodshed God Palace are divided into 3 classes. The legions within the Starfield are usually the lowest class 3, and the few legions within the prefecture are all class 2. As for the legions within the Bloodshed God Palace, any one of them is a true class 1 legion. In a first-class legion, even the lowest soldiers are world deities. A first-class legion can directly deal with powerful existences. Oh, the Dragon Mountain Emperor suddenly understood. He hadn't been in the divine world for long, and he had always lived in a small place, so he knew very little. This time, in order to go to the prefecture city, he had used up all his treasures just to pay for the teleportation array. Let's go in first, Shuang said as he looked around him. In the distance, there were many experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle with their companions. They entered the cavern dwelling. This cavern dwelling could be considered the smallest in the Bloodshed God Palace, being only 5 kilometers in circumference. Donghua Shuang sat cross-legged on the grass next to a river within the cavern dwelling. He held a crystal jade in his hand, and the information contained within the crystal jade flowed into his mind. This crystal jade had been sent over by a soldier of the Bloodshed God Palace, and it contained the battle scenes of the 1,900 deity experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, mainly the arena battles and the survival battles. Of the 1,900 deity experts, there are a total of 5 who have grasped a grade 1 deity heart like Joshi. Perhaps there are still 2 or 3 who have yet to reveal their true strength. Donghua Shuang thought. Those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart definitely won't be able to defeat them. Based on past experience, the first few with grade 1 deity hearts will usually be occupied by them. However, my goal is to become a disciple of a powerful existence and accumulate some experience. Then I'll eat a myriad flower true fruit. That would be perfect. Donghua Shuang then began to ponder over the opponents one by one. However, the combat power of this batch of opponents is truly high. Recalling the battle scenes, he began to categorize their combat power. Who was undefeatable? Who was able to fight against them? Who was able to defeat them? The Bloodshed God Palace had sent this information to every participant precisely, so that they could understand themselves and their enemies. Only then would they be able to fight more brilliantly during the Bloodshed God Palace battle. If a powerful expert were to foolishly clash with someone who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, that would be an unjust loss. Snow Eagle, Snow Eagle. A voice came from afar. Donghua Shuang turned his head, only to see his wife walking over with a white-robed bald teenager. The white-robed bald teenager had a unique aura, as if he could see through everything and transcend everything. His eyes were boundlessly vast, as if they contained millions upon millions of worlds. This was a super expert that caused Dongbu Ying to sigh in admiration. He was in existence on the same level as Monarch Mo Shui and the Kamsi Prefecture Master. Junior disciple brother Dongbu. The white-robed bald teenager walked over with a smile on his face. Greetings, senior disciple brother Huiming. Dongbu Ying hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. I've heard that Crimson Rock Mountain fell into the material world after teacher's death, but under a stroke of luck, he accepted a good disciple. Who would have thought that junior disciple brother Dongbu would be so amazing? The white-robed bald teenager laughed and praised. I've heard from Chihua Laozu that you've sacrificed half of your soul to save your wife, yet you're still so powerful. I'm afraid that there will be more than one powerful existence willing to accept you as a disciple in this myriad flower feast. Senior disciple brother is overpraising me, Dongbu Ying said. Jingqiu hurriedly said. Since eldest disciple brother is here, I've brought him here. They had all cultivated on Crimson Dust Island, so they were familiar with eldest disciple brother Huiming's appearance. Right, senior disciple brother, the enemy who killed teacher wouldn't be from the Bloodshed God Palace, right? Dongbu Ying asked. I don't want to become their disciple. It's a powerful existence from the temporal island, Huiming said. If it were a powerful existence from the Bloodshed God Palace, Scarlet Flame wouldn't have allowed you to participate in the myriad flower feast. I understand. Dongbu Ying nodded. As they conversed, invisible ripples began to spread around them. These ripples were capable of preventing all probing. For instance, the sac that Ancestor Black Wind had once obtained was capable of rendering all laws of nature ineffective. Powerful existences had transcended the laws of the world, and they could easily create such treasures. Thus, both Huiming and Dongbu Ying had such treasures that could block all probing. Once they were blocked, even the Temporal Temple wouldn't be able to investigate. After all, the Temporal Temple could only reverse time. In the deity world, most assassins would use such treasures. Even if they were killed, they wouldn't be able to find out who the killer was. Teacher's enmity involves powerful existences, so you don't need to worry about it, Huiming said. It's too distant for you. I understand. Teacher didn't insist on us taking revenge, Dongbu Ying said with a smile. Haha. Huiming lightly nodded and smiled. I really envy you, junior disciple brother. You control a material mortal world, and you even have a lover by your side. Even during the myriad flower feast, your sister-in-law accompanied you. I'm starting to feel a bit jealous. Beside him, Jingqiu also laughed. Dongbu Ying looked at his wife. When their gazes met, they could feel each other's thoughts. I'm also very satisfied, Dongbu Ying said. If he was all alone, what was the point of being unparalleled? Star. Chapter 467. Huiming replied, Junior brother Dongbu, I am currently staying at the distant Dust Temple. If you wish to find me, you can go there to look for me. As for normal communication, you can do so through communication treasures. Alright. Dongbu Ying and Huiming left an imprint on each other, so that communication treasures could be used to sense each other. Soon, Senior Huiming bade farewell and left. Senior Huiming is greatly respected by the disciples of Crimson Rock Mountain. Seeing him today, I can see that he is indeed extraordinary. He even came to see me and treated me so courteously. Dongbu Ying sighed. Although he had potential, news of his grade 1 true meaning had never been revealed. Secondly, Senior Huiming was also a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. He was also the only grade 1 true meaning transcendent that Sacred Master Crimson Dust had accepted. He was now a stage 4 world deity. I heard that Senior Huiming suffered a setback in his love life when he was young and became a monk. Jingqiu sighed. His talent was outstanding and he was even a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. Later on, because of a grudge, he began to spread his faith without restraint, and quickly became a stage 4 world deity. Dongbu Ying nodded. Faith. It was a huge help to one's cultivation. By accumulating the power of faith, one's cultivation speed would explosively increase. A grade 1 true meaning transcendent with outstanding talent would naturally improve by leaps and bounds. However, faith was the key to success and failure. Faith was also bound by karma. The more faith one absorbed, the harder it would be to transcend. This was also the biggest obstacle for stage 4 world deities to become powerful existences. Even so, there were still countless world deities who continued to spread and absorb faith. If they did not absorb faith, they would at most become stage 2 world deities. If they absorbed faith, they would have a chance of becoming stage 3 world deities. Those who were extremely lucky might even become stage 4 world deities. Naturally, they were all willing to absorb faith. As for those who could not become powerful existences, since ancient times, how many had become powerful existences in the deity world and dark abyss? It was too difficult. Of course, grade 1 true meaning transcendence would usually not absorb faith unless there was a special reason. Dongbu Shuiying had also been warned by the weapon spirit, Crimson Rock, not to absorb faith. That was because a grade 1 true meaning transcendence potential was extremely great, and his chances of becoming a stage 4 world deity were already very high. It was not worth it for him to save time by absorbing faith, which was akin to cutting off all hope of becoming a powerful existence. The main hall was extremely tall, and at the highest point was the place where the myriad flower feast was held. Clouds and mist surrounded the main hall, and one after another, great existences flew over from afar. Each of these great existences had their own unique auras. Some were blazing hot, as though they could instantly incinerate everything within a million miles. Some were reserved like a bottomless abyss, and some were so sharp that they tore through the void, causing Dongbu Shuiying and the others' hearts to palpitate. Dongbu Shuiying and the other 1,900 great existences were currently seated at the outermost perimeter, each with a table of food in front of them. There were also soldiers standing guard around them, the weakest of which was a stage 1 world deity. Occasionally, a stage 2 world deity could be seen as well. As for the area near His Majesty and the other powerful existences, there were even stage 3 world deity guards standing guard respectfully. I remember that General Ying's father is a stage 3 world deity and His Majesty's personal guard. Dongbu Shuiying glanced in the direction of His Majesty and saw the stage 3 world deity guard standing guard. I reckon that General Ying's father is one of them. As deities, they could not clearly see what was happening within the banquet. All they could feel was an invisible pressure, and when they looked over with their naked eyes, all they could see was a blur. Bloodblade was seated at the highest point. He was dressed in a crimson robe, and his eyes were deep and serene. The area around him seemed to be filled with endless darkness and destruction. Just by sitting there, he was able to instill fear in the other powerful existences who were participating in the banquet. Beside him, there were 3 others who were seated at the same height as him. The aura of these 3 people was so strong that it was comparable to that of Bloodblade. One of them was a ruler from the dark abyss. His body was huge and towering, and his eyes were filled with an endless bloodthirst. The dark abyss had a total of 3 rulers. Just like how the temporal island lord Bloodblade and the myriad god palace head stood at the apex of the deity world, these 3 rulers also stood at the apex of the dark abyss. There was another abyss ruler. He was a cold male dressed in golden armor. His gaze was the sharpest, and none of the powerful existences below dared to look him in the eye. The final person was a graceful and luxurious woman. Her aura was the most reserved and gentle, though she was not at a disadvantage when compared to Bloodblade and the others. Other than these 4, the other powerful existences were all seated below. They were grand and majestic, and there were close to 100 of them. Some of them came from the dark abyss, while others were subordinates of the bloodshed god palace. Most of them were independent powerful existences who did not belong to any organization. These powerful existences were all extremely arrogant, and most of them were unwilling to serve others. Even powerful existences like Bloodblade, Temporal Island Lord, and Myriad God Palace Head weren't willing to serve them. For instance, the Bloodshed God Palace. Even though they had several powerful existences under them, some of them were seeking refuge, while others had a teacher-disciple relationship. Other than the powerful existences, there were also Stage 4 world deities attending the banquet. However, all Stage 4 world deities belonged to the Bloodshed God Palace, and Stage 4 world deities from outside organizations were not qualified to be invited. Old monkey, I heard that you snatched a Sunstar nucleus stone from the Sunstar? Who are you listening to? Sunstar nucleus stone? The Sunstar hasn't produced a star nucleus stone for hundreds of billions of years, and I managed to snatch one? All of you must have gone crazy thinking about the Sunstar nucleus stone. Come, let's have a drink. Brother Wu, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I didn't expect you to come to the Myriad Flower Feast. I've been in seclusion for a long time. I've made some progress, so I came out to relax. The Almighties chatted in 2s and 3s. Those who were close to each other sat together. Those with grudges kept their distance. Everyone. Bloodblade sat high above, his voice somewhat cold. With so many good friends here, the Myriad Flower Feast is so lively. I'm also very happy. Everyone, let's continue drinking and chatting. While we're chatting, how about watching the little fellows from our Bloodshed God Palace compete? The powerful existences present all turned to look outside. Their gazes easily landed on the 1,900 deities outside. Most of them, however, were just there to watch the show. After all, only the powerful existences of the Bloodshed God Palace were allowed to accept disciples. Other powerful existences could not accept disciples. Chihua Laozu was also among the powerful existences. He was also an idle powerful existence who had not joined the Bloodshed God Palace. Let's begin then. Bloodblade calmly ordered. To the God Emperor who had stood at the apex for so many years, the Myriad Flower Feast was just a gathering of old friends. As for choosing disciples, that was just a minor matter. Even those with sufficiently high statuses would find it hard to accept disciples. For instance, Bloodblade was too lazy to even accept grade 1 true meaning transcendence. He was a stage 4 world deity. His gaze swept across the 1,900 deities. I'll send you all over now to begin the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongbua Shuiying, 7th Meiyu Joshi, Drunk Guest, and many other powerful deities from the other prefectures were all waiting quietly. Finally, the blood-armored general activated the array. Beneath the region where Dongbua Shuiying and the other 1,900 deities were located, a golden array lit up. An unseen force immediately wrapped around the consciousness of Dongbua Shuiying and the others and sent them flying into the distance. For a moment, Dongbua Shuiying and the others lost consciousness. Their consciousness was transported to another location. Amen? Dongbua Shuiying looked at the towering mountain in front of him, as well as the mountain range in the distance. There were countless caves within this mountain range, and within these caves were shrouded in mist. Violet mist, black mist, golden mist. Shuiying swept his gaze across the area and saw several other deity experts standing in midair. Clearly, there were a total of 1,900 deities scattered throughout the mountain range. Truly formidable. My consciousness was transported here so easily. Dongbua Shuiying sensed his own body. Furthermore, this body is exactly the same as my true body, the same time immemorial body level 3, and the same great chaotic true force. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was the safest, because it was merely a consciousness descending. Even if one died in battle, their consciousness would only return. First place in the ranking battle and second place in the survival battle of the Calm Sea Prefecture. Dongbua? In the distance, a deity frowned when he saw Dongbua Shuiying. He immediately flew off in another direction. Clearly, Dongbua Shuiying was ranked at the very front of the 1,900 deities. Only those who grasped grade 1 deity hearts could suppress him. Star. Chapter 468. The mountain range stretched on endlessly. Dongbua Shuiying swept his gaze across the area. Including himself, there were a total of 3 deity experts within the range of this mountain range. Everyone was maintaining a sufficient distance from each other. Hua weapons began to condense from the soil and rocks of the mountain. Sabers, swords, staffs, whips, spears, hammers, axes. All of these weapons were merely top-grade deity-ranked weapons. With a wave of his hand, Dongbua Shuiying summoned a storage treasure, 3 spears, and a large number of pikes. He easily refined the storage treasure and put away the spears and pikes, leaving behind a new spear in his hand. In truth, Dongbo Shuiying's mirage body was already extremely tough, and the weapons it could transform into were more than enough for him to use. The two deity experts in the distance also chose their own weapons and waited silently. Since they dared to stay here, they had something to rely on to protect themselves. The Bloodshed God Palace battle does not restrict you by any means. Your final ranking will be determined by the number of venomous insects you kill. A majestic voice resounded in the ears of every deity expert. Only 100 will be able to attend the myriad flower feast and enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. These 100 will definitely be accepted as disciples by powerful existences. As for those ranked after the 100th place, it will depend on luck. Hua! High up in the sky above the mountain range, a gigantic blood-colored list suddenly appeared. Your ranking will be displayed on the list at all times. The list will change according to the number of venomous insects you kill. You can take a good look and know your own ranking, the majestic voice said. The Bloodshed God Palace battle will now begin. As soon as the voice finished, almost every mountain in the mountain range began to surge with energy, causing the mountain range to tremble. Dongbo Shuiying and the two experts around him stared intently at the movements of this mountain range. All they saw was a violet mist slowly condensing from one of the caves on this mountain range, eventually forming a violet venomous insect about the size of a millstone. This venomous insect had a tough outer shell, and its compound eyes scanned its surroundings. Then, with a flap of its wings, it instantly disappeared. Shua! 3 starry blue-robed Dongbo Shuiying and a skinny swordsman appeared at almost the same time, and an arrow tore through the air. All of them missed their target. However, the arrow streaked across the void and collided with the purple venomous bug in the void cracked thousands of miles away. Both of them appeared in the real world. The arrow hit the purple poisonous insect's shell, and cracks appeared on the shell. The arrow fell down. On the other hand, the outer shell of the poisonous insect was gradually recovering. What a powerful poisonous insect! Dongbo Shuiying, the skinny swordsman, and the huge man who shot the arrow from afar were all shocked. That huge man was called Wuxia, and he came from the famous Bamboo Mountain Prefecture. In the survival battle of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture, Wuxia was ranked 19th. His archery was extremely powerful, and although it was not his ultimate move, it was still very powerful. Unexpectedly, he only managed to leave a crack on the venomous insect's shell. So south, the 3 Dongbo Shuiyings disappeared at the same time, reappearing next to the purple venomous bug in the distance. Their 3 spears carried a world-destroying might as they executed the chaotic suppression, which was powered by the great chaotic true force. In an instant, the surrounding space started to collapse. The venomous insect wanted to escape, but it could not. It could only face this terrifying encirclement. Pong, 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 the spears either struck the venomous insect's claws, abdomen, or directly on its shell. The venomous insect immediately let out an ear-piercing howl of pain. The howl created a shockwave that spread in all directions. The 3 mirage bodies all felt an intense pain in their ears, and they felt slightly dizzy. Fortunately, they had the time immemorial body, so they were able to endure it. Rip! A terrifying sword light suddenly appeared from the side, piercing through the venomous purple insect's head. However, it only managed to pierce through halfway before the skinny swordsman immediately pulled out his sword and retreated. This was because the 3 Dongbo Shuiyings had simultaneously waved their spears and swept them towards him. He's really fast at escaping. The 3 Dongbo Shuiyings glanced at him. They then continued to attack the venomous purple insect. This Dongbo is really strong. These venomous insects are really hard to kill. It's very difficult for the 2 of us to ambush and kill these venomous insects first. The skinny swordsman frowned from afar. The bow-wielding giant Wuxia also frowned. Dongbo's mirage heart of Godheart has already reached an unimaginable level. His real body is hiding in the mirage, and we can't even find it. The 3 bodies that are fighting outside are all mirage bodies. Even if we could kill them, it would be pointless. Even if the mirage bodies die, they can quickly reform. Yes, I have no way of killing this venomous insect. The skinny swordsman turned around and instantly disappeared. The giant Wuxia was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he watched from afar. At the same time, he had already drawn his godly bow and knocked 3 arrows. In the distance, the three Yings were frantically attacking the venomous bug. The venomous bug's defense was extremely strong, and under its all-out attack, its carapace began to gradually shatter. Only then did blood begin to seep out of its body. It was still madly howling as it fought against the three Yings. Occasionally it would shoot out a poisonous needle from its mouth. The attack was fast and sudden, and even the mirage body with its tyrannical strength would be pierced through. The poison was extremely potent, but the mirage body itself had no fear. It easily dispersed and condensed, repelling the poisonous needle. Right now, the giant Wuxia's eyes lit up. Xiao xiao xiao. The three arrows were like three dazzling meteors. They drew three arcs in the air and instantly appeared around the venomous purple insect. Clang clang clang. The three Dongbu Ying's bodies would rather use their bodies to block the venomous insect's attack than to wield their spears to block the three arrows. With Dongbu Ying's mastery of the mirage and space, as well as the profoundness of his spear arts, it was not difficult for him to block the three arrows. The power of these arrows is really strong. The three Dongbu Ying's bodies staggered from the impact. The venomous purple insect seized the opportunity to escape. South, the three Dongbu Yings immediately chased after it. He would rather ignore the venomous insect and block my attack? The giant Wuxia frowned. If it was any other deity expert, they would not be able to ignore the venomous insect. However, the mirage bodies would allow the venomous insect to attack freely. Forget it, forget it. I'll let him have this place. The giant Wuxia's figure moved. Instantly he turned into a dazzling beam of light. His speed was extremely fast, and with a flash he disappeared into the void. Both he and the skinny swordsman were experts in speed. That was why they dared to compete with Dongbu Ying. Pong pong pong. With the coordination of various spear arts, the venomous insect's head was pierced through. However, the venomous insect did not die, and continued its frenzied counterattack. Boo! The carapace was completely shattered. A spear pierced through the venomous insect's body, and with a violent shake, the venomous insect's tattered body shattered. Only then did the venomous insect die. What a fellow! Killing a venomous insect took me 10 breaths of time? Dongbu Ying was also speechless. He raised his head and looked at the huge blood-red board in the sky. There were already 65 names on it, and Dongbu Ying was ranked 65th. The entire sky above the Bloodshed God Palace was filled with illusory images of mountains, deity experts, and the incomparably huge blood-red board. Within the Bloodshed God Palace, everyone could see the Bloodshed God Palace battle when they raised their heads. His Majesty, the God Emperor, and the other almighties were all chatting as they watched the scene unfold. Many of the world deities in the Bloodshed God Palace, such as the White Sand City Lord and King Ronghai, as well as other world deities who had come from all over the world, as well as some deities like the Xia clan deities and Jingqiu, were all looking up. Quick look! The Xia people looked at the huge blood-red board excitedly. There are only 65 names on the board, and Dongbu's name is already on it. The Bloodshed God Palace battle has only just begun, the old man Purple Thunder Emperor said. The old man, the Purple Thunder Emperor said, the further it goes, the crueler it will be. Deity-level experts will even kill each other. Given Dongbu's strength, he should be able to participate in the myriad flower feast and enjoy a myriad flower true fruit, Yunhai said. They all looked on expectantly. Chapter 469. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was still ongoing. 6 deities were currently attacking a black venomous bug. The surrounding space would occasionally crumble and collapse, and at other times it would be sliced apart. The 6 deities were using all their strength to attack. The black venomous bug roared and struggled, but its injuries were clearly worsening. Finally, a thin sword pierced through its body, and fresh blood splattered everywhere. The venomous bug finally stopped struggling, and the other 5 deities hurriedly attacked a few more times. Following that, the 6 of them raised their heads to look at the huge blood-colored board in the sky. A new name had appeared on the 191st place. Haha, everyone, my luck is good. My final move just so happened to kill this venomous bug. A tall and skinny man wielding 2 swords laughed. Only by working together can we hope to enter the top 100. If we were to act alone, we would probably all be ranked outside the top 500. Right now, brother and I is ranked 15th, and I'm in the top 200. Alright, stop being so smug. The 4 of us aren't even on the board yet. The venomous bug killing test was based on the person who executed the final move, so the credit for killing the venomous bug would go to that person. Let's continue. I refuse to believe that my luck will always be so bad. Again. The 6 of them continued searching for venomous bugs. In midair, 3 mountains away from them, Ying was also searching for venomous insects. He glanced into the distance and saw the 6 deities working together to kill a single venomous insect. These deities who are slightly weaker than me probably know that they won't be able to enter the top 100 if they act alone, so they decided to team up and work together? I need to avoid them. Ying was vigilant of his surroundings. He needed to be vigilant against groups of deities, as well as deities with grade 1 deity hearts. Otherwise, he would be eliminated prematurely if he was killed. According to the records, in every Bloodshed God Palace myriad flower feast, it was common for powerful deities to be ganged up on and killed. No matter how carefully he avoided them, how fast were the deities? Boom boom boom. Just as the 3 Yings were attacking a venomous bug, the surrounding space suddenly distorted. A group of figures flickered twice before arriving at the mountain range where Ying was. There were a total of 8 deities in this group. He's Dongbo of the Kamsi Prefecture. Kill him. Kill. The 8 deity-level experts attacked without hesitation. One of them, who was wearing a gray robe, stretched out both of his hands. Instantly, the world around him fell into an endless quagmire. Formless ripples spread everywhere. It was hard to see with the naked eye. However, be it the mirage, the shadow world, or the real world, everything was penetrated. Even though his real body was hiding in the mirage, it was still affected. This shocked Ying. His true body is here. Out of all these deity realm experts, only this gray-robed man was able to discover Ying's true body. He easily destroyed Ying's concealment. Kill. A thunderous saber light flashed across the sky, piercing through the mirage and arriving in front of Ying's real body. Descend. Countless white silk nets wrapped around Ying. Extinguish. Dazzling light gathered from all directions, converging towards Ying. All of a sudden, all of them unleashed their attacks. Shua. Ying was so frightened that he immediately switched his body and appeared in front of one of his mirage bodies. So, with the help of the mirage bodies, Ying quickly changed his body and fled at high speed. Moreover, it was hard to determine his whereabouts. After all, the location of the mirage bodies was purely a thought of Ying. Over there, over there, over there. Although the gray-robed man could sense the changes in Ying's body, the others were unable to keep up with his attacks. In the end, they could only watch as Ying escaped. This Dongbu's mirage secret skill is indeed powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Forget it. Let's get rid of this poisonous bug first. The 8 figures stood in midair and glanced at the fleeing Ying. Following which, the 8 of them surrounded the poisonous bug that Ying had injured. They did not have full confidence in this sneak attack. It would be a good thing if they could kill it. Even if they failed, they would still be able to kill a poisonous bug. After running for more than 10 mountains, Ying finally stopped. He turned his head and looked back. He couldn't help but feel helpless. My real body is hidden in the mirage. Although not many people can discover it, those who came to participate in this battle are all very powerful. I'm afraid 1 out of 10 people will be able to discover my real body. The mirage realm was indeed powerful. However, it was not unsolvable. For example, the gray-robed man had cultivated the Minute Divinity Heart to an extremely high level and created his own domain-type secret skill. This domain was able to decipher his surroundings at the level of minute particles. Even if Ying hid in the mirage, he would not be able to escape the detection of the domain. Other than that, secret skills that contained the profound mysteries of spacetime could also be deciphered. There were also other deity experts. Ying had already discovered quite a few who could discover his real body. After all, those who came to participate in this battle had all cultivated to an extremely high level. Even if they could not defeat him, there were still quite a few who could discover his real body. There's no helping it. I can only be more careful. Dongbua Shuang discovered that a new poisonous bug was being born in a cave far away. He immediately rushed over. With his current strength, he was in an awkward position. Those who were too strong, such as those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, were unstoppable. Those who were too weak knew that they had no hope of surviving alone. Hence, they would band together and even swear an oath that they would not betray each other. Only those who relied on their own strength, usually they were not willing to band together. This was because the efficiency of searching for poisonous bugs when working together was the same as working alone. As for killing the poisonous bugs, how would they split the profits? Equally. That was not beneficial to either side. How despicable. They actually worked together to kill my master. Sigh, my master did not manage to escape. Quick, run. Big Brother was actually killed by a group of them. He escaped. That was close. The countless living beings watching the battle in the Bloodshed God Palace raised their heads to look at the gigantic mountain range in the sky. As they watched the battles unfold, they were all extremely nervous. Many of those who participated in the battle moved in groups. As for those who were especially confident in themselves, they chose to act alone. If they acted alone, the venomous bugs would belong to them, but if they acted in groups, the venomous bugs would belong to someone else. In terms of efficiency, acting alone was naturally much more efficient. However, there were quite a few powerful ones who ended up being surrounded and killed. Interesting. Look at that little guy. He sure is crafty. That tall guy with the great axe. His self-created secret movement technique is pretty good. The powerful existences were leisurely watching the battle. As for those who acted alone but ended up being surrounded and killed, the powerful existences did not feel wronged. After all, they had chosen their own path, and they were especially confident in themselves. Even if they were surrounded and killed, they could only admit defeat. Dongbua, hurry, that was close. What's so close about that? With Dongbua's strength, how could he be surrounded and killed so easily? The deities of the Xia people, Jing Qiu, and the rest were also watching nervously. Every time they saw Dongbua Shuang being chased by a group of deities, their hearts would tighten. Although it was dangerous to act alone, one venomous bug after another was killed by him. The number of kills by Dongbua Shuang continued to rise. On the gigantic blood-colored ranking board, Dongbua Shuang's name was also rising. 52nd, 39th, 33rd, 25th, 19th. After all, Dongbua Shuang's strength had always been relatively strong. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities did not have much of an advantage over him. As long as he survived, his ranking would naturally rise. He's at the 15th place. The White Sand City Lord, who was drinking with King Ronghai and watching the battle, also raised his head. This Dongbua might be able to enter the top 10. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. He was too busy during the new year. He only finished writing after a short nap at night. Star. Chapter 470. As his ranking continued to rise, Dongbua Shuang felt that it was only natural. After all, even though he was ranked 65th at the start, many of the people at the very front had only managed to kill the venomous insects by luck when they teamed up. Those fellows could not possibly always be the one to kill the venomous insects at the very last moment. If he were to always be the one to kill the venomous insects, perhaps even his teammates would take the initiative to leave. The 1,900 people who can enter the final Bloodshed God Palace battle have very small differences in strength. If 5, 6, or even 8 or 9 of them work together, only those with a grade 1 deity heart would be able to stop them. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. Furthermore, when a group of them work together, they specialize in different aspects and can even complement each other, making them even more threatening. Right now, the only thing I can do is to do my best to survive. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was never meant to select the strongest 100. Instead, it was meant to select those who could kill the most venomous insects under the same rules. This was a test of every deity expert's decision. South Dongbua Shuiying traversed the vast mountain range again and again. As time passed, the rate at which venomous insects were born gradually increased. However, Dongbua Shuiying continued to ensure his own safety before killing the venomous insects. As a result, his ranking did not rise at all, hovering around the 15th position. His cautiousness coupled with his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries allowed Dongbua Shuiying to continue living in this mountain range despite the deaths and elimination of deity experts. There's really no threat at all. As he traversed the mountain range, the white-haired and white-browed Jiushi waved his hand, condensing a huge golden palm in midair. It directly pressed down on a venomous insect that was trying to escape, instantly shattering it. Originally, I didn't want to expose myself so early in the Kamsi prefecture. I wanted to struggle for a while in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, before revealing myself at the most crucial moment. It would be best if I could assassinate someone with a grade 1 deity heart. Unfortunately, because of that Dongbua, I was exposed early on. Now, anyone who sees me would avoid me as much as possible. Jiushi muttered to himself. Beneath his white brows, his cold gaze swept across his surroundings. Furthermore, there's an invisible barrier at the edge of every mountain range that prevents domains from penetrating through. Grade 1 deity heart. If he wanted to, he could cover 100 million miles with a single thought, covering the entire mountain range where the Bloodshed God Palace battle was taking place. In that case, they who grasped a grade 1 deity heart would be able to wantonly slaughter them. After all, no matter how he tried to flee, he wouldn't be able to escape from the law domain. However, His Majesty God Emperor would never allow such a thing to happen. If they wantonly massacre people with grade 1 deity hearts, then the Bloodshed God Palace battle would be meaningless. For example, Dongbua Shuiying, Drunk Guest, and some other talented seedlings, in the eyes of His Majesty and the other almighty beings, had much more potential than Jiushi and the others. Jiushi looked into the distance and saw 3 young men in starry blue robes holding spears attacking a poisonous insect 7 mountains away. Dongbua? The corner of Jiushi's mouth curled up. What a coincidence! Even though I've killed over 30 deity experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, none of them makes me happier than you, Dongbua. Following that, Jiushi's figure disappeared without a trace. With his current realm, he was able to conceal himself stealthily. Only when he moved from one mountain to another would the invisible barrier force him to reveal himself. However, as long as he passed through the barrier, he would vanish without a trace. Stealthily, using the mountains to obstruct his line of sight, and the laws of profound mysteries to distort his line of sight, Jiushi gradually approached. Being able to survive until now, Dongbua Shuiying was naturally extremely careful. However, due to the invisible barrier set up by His Majesty, his mirage perception and spatial perception could only probe the range of one mountain at most. He was unable to penetrate into another mountain. As for further away, he could only rely on his eyes to see. Naturally, he failed to notice Jiushi's approach. Accompanied by an ear-piercing cry of unwillingness, the poisonous insect shattered and died. Another one down. Dongbua Shuiying raised his head and glanced at the huge blood-colored board in the sky. Previously, he had fallen to the 17th position. After killing this poisonous insect, he rose to the 15th position. This was normal. Clearly, there was a group of people with strength comparable to Dongbua Shuiying who were still alive and hunting poisonous insects. Amen? Dongbua Shuiying abruptly turned his head to look. Far to his left, the edge of the mountain was still empty. However, Dongbua Shuiying could clearly sense a figure there. It was a white-robed, white-haired, white-browed figure. When he passed through the edge, Jiushi could at most distort his line of sight. However, at Dongbua Shuiying's level, just distorting his line of sight was impossible to hide under the laws of profound mysteries. Jiushi! Dongbua Shuiying was shocked. This was the first time he met someone with a grade 1 deity heart. These people who grasped a grade 1 deity heart were far stronger than them. Thus they could kill as they wished. Die! Jiushi was incomparably tyrannical. He was clear that he wouldn't be able to hide the moment he entered the edge of the mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge golden palm condensed in midair. This golden palm directly pressed down on Dongbu Shuiying's true body. Even if he hid in the mirage, it was useless against Jiu Shi. Shua shua shua. The moment Dongbu Shuiying discovered Jiu Shi, he instinctively transformed his body. 3 mirage bodies instantly appeared at 3 different edges of the mountain. When that golden palm pressed down on Dongbu Shuiying's true body, his true body had already switched with the mirage bodies. Break! Jiu Shi frowned. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Boom boom boom. Every corner of the mountain felt a terrifying pressure. Even though Dongbu Shuiying's true body had already switched to a mirage body and was about to pass through the edge, the terrifying pressure had already descended upon him. But at this moment, that terrifying suppression had already descended. It covered every single area. No matter where Shuiying could move his body, as long as he did not leave the region of the mountain, he would definitely be hit. Careful! Snow Eagle. The deities of the Xia people, Jing Qiu and the rest watched nervously. Because they could only see with their naked eyes, Jiu Shi's vision was distorted even when he passed through the edge. Thus, they were unable to discover Jiu Shi's figure. However, they had been paying attention to Dongbu Shuiying. Thus, they also noticed the sudden appearance of that huge golden palm. Following that, the entire mountain began to crumble. Why would someone who grasps a grade 1 deity heart resort to such a treacherous sneak attack? The White Sand City Lord was somewhat annoyed. It was one thing to casually kill a random person, but to resort to such a treacherous sneak attack, that was too much. The terrifying suppression caused every single location within the range of the mountain to be annihilated. Shuiying's true body could only feel the terrifying energy crazily permeating into his body. It was frantically tearing at his body, wanting to tear it into pieces. His time immemorial body could feel pain all over his body, but his body was still intact. Clearly, he had withstood the pressure of the domain. I didn't die. I withstood it? Dongbu Shuiying could not be bothered to think too much. He instantly charged past the edge of the mountain and entered the range of another mountain. So. He continued to flee, and in a single breath, he had already traversed tens of mountains. Even this didn't kill him? Jiu Shi revealed his true body. His white brows fluttered downwards, and a hint of anger could be seen in his eyes. At least he escaped fast enough. One must know. In the end, Jiu Shi had only grasped a grade 1 deity heart, and had yet to open an inner world to become a world deity. What he displayed was merely a domain formed from the laws of profound mysteries. It was a large-scale attack, so it was naturally weaker against a single target. Moreover, the time immemorial body excelled in survival. At the 3rd level of the time immemorial body, even a true stage 1 world deity would at most be heavily injured by a world deity domain. Only a serious attack could kill such an opponent. Naturally, Jiu Shi would find it hard to succeed with just a law domain. Was there a need? With a grade 1 deity heart, he would definitely be ranked amongst the top. Was there a need to sneak attack me? Dongbu Shuiying was somewhat annoyed. If not for the fact that I can't reveal my world deity heart for now, would I be afraid of you? A grade 1 deity heart was indeed a suppressive force against them. But in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, everyone descended with their consciousnesses. Even if they died in battle, only their consciousnesses would be expelled. Under such circumstances, the top few would definitely have grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Why bother with people like them who were risking their lives to fight for a higher ranking? Sneak attack? Forget it. A person who cultivated for 6 million years only to grasp a grade 1 deity heart is only SOSO. Dongbu Shuiying was very clear that he would soon leave Jiu Shi in the dust. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was getting more and more desperate. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities were fighting with their lives on the line. Moreover, as the rate at which the venomous insects were born increased, the threat posed by the venomous insects increased as well. The rate at which deities were dying was also increasing. More than 1,500 have already died. There are only 300 or so left. I reckon that this is the final battle. The next battle will be even more interesting. Many of the spectating world deities understood what was about to happen. At the highest point of the Bloodshed God Palace, the myriad flower feast, The Bloodshed God Emperor was seated high above. He smiled and said, "The Bloodshed God Palace battle has eliminated only 300 participants. It's about time we give them their deity weapons. Once we give them their deity weapons, the slaughter will be even faster." The other powerful existences were all watching the battle from afar. The Bloodshed God Emperor waved his hand, causing 30 blood-colored streams of light to fly out. They flew directly towards the distant chain of mountains. Star. Chapter 471. There were still 325 deities left in the mountain range. They all raised their heads and saw 30 dazzling streaks of blood-colored light descending upon different regions of the mountain range like meteors. The descent of the deity weapons. It's the deity weapons. Quick, quick, quick. This is our last chance. We must snatch the deity weapons. For a moment, all the deity experts were rushing toward the blood-colored stream of light closest to them. Even the 7 experts who had revealed their grade 1 deity hearts were doing their best to snatch it. Schwering also immediately entered the mirage and rushed toward a certain direction. The entire Bloodshed God Palace battle could be divided into 2 stages. The first stage was before the descent of the deity weapons. The second stage was the later stage. The places where the 30 bloody slaughter deity weapons landed are all at the bottom of the rankings. The White Sand City Lord raised his head and sighed. Master has truly put in a lot of effort to give those at the bottom a chance to struggle. What effort? Isn't it just to make the Bloodshed God Palace battle more interesting and unpredictable? King Ronghai laughed. Brother Whitesand, you always flatter His Majesty when it comes to matters. Unfortunately, His Majesty has yet to allow you to return to his tutelage. The White Sand City Lord immediately said with a solemn expression, "Of course I want to return to Master's tutelage. However, I have committed a grave mistake. I am already grateful that Master did not kill me. Furthermore, I am not flattering you. With Master's strength, there is no need for him to give these deity experts a chance to shine." Yet, he still held a banquet and gave these deity experts a chance to soar into the sky and even enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. This is a gift. Alright. Let's not talk about it anymore. Marshal Qin and the others stopped talking. As long as His Majesty Bloodblade was involved, the White Sand City Lord would never say no. He had always wanted to return to His Majesty's tutelage. Unfortunately, His Majesty had expelled him back then. How could he change his mind so easily? The deity weapons will land too far away from Dongbua. I'm afraid we won't be able to snatch them. The deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu watched nervously. Based on the previous Bloodshed God Palace battles, the Bloody Massacre deity weapons will always land near the weaker deity experts. The Purple Thunder Emperor said, "This Bloody Slaughter God weapon was personally refined by His Majesty, and its power is extraordinary. Anyone who participates in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, including those with grade 1 deity hearts, will definitely die if they are injured by this Bloody Slaughter God weapon. With this divine weapon my strength will be different. Bloody Kill Divine Weapon." Although Dongbua Shuang was rushing over at high speed, he was still too far away. There were 15 people who were closer to him, and all of them were traveling at an extremely fast speed. In just an instant they had already passed through a tall mountain. Dongbua Shuang could only watch on as a black-armored man stretched out his hand and grabbed a red round rock that was at the waist of the mountain. The moment he grabbed it, the red round rock rapidly transformed into a blood-colored long sword. Ha! The black-armored man was overjoyed as he held the blood-colored long sword. I finally obtained it. With this Bloody Slaughter God weapon I might be ranked in the top 500, but I still have hope of entering the top 100. He swept his gaze across his surroundings. 5 of the deity experts had already slowed down. Congratulations. I didn't expect you to be one step ahead of us. Let's go. The 5 deity experts turned and left. Because they were originally in the same team as the black-armored man, they had long since sworn an oath not to harm each other. Without that oath, how could they move together without worry? Now that the black-armored man had snatched the Bloody Slaughter God weapon, the 5 of them could only choose to leave. Kill. Surround and kill him. Snatch the bloody slaughter god weapon. The 5 turned and left, but the other deity experts quickly rushed over, wanting to snatch it. The black-armored man laughed coldly. Come at me if you're not afraid of death. With a single step, he teleported away, even passing through the edge of the mountain. With another step, he arrived beside a venomous bug. With a flash of his sword, the purple beetle's originally tough shell was immediately cut open. The black-armored man did not stop and quickly left. The purple beetle struggled in midair for a while, then directly fell down, completely dissipating as it returned to the mountain. With a single move, the purple beetle was killed. It could be said that with the bloody slaughter god weapon in hand, no one would dare to touch it with their body. I must snatch the bloody slaughter god weapon. Dongbo Shuiying rapidly closed in. The bloody slaughter god weapon is too powerful. Even the venomous bugs were killed with a single move. At this rate, I can easily enter the top 100. Although I'm currently ranked 16th, if I'm eliminated early, the rankings of the others will continue to rise, and they might even surpass me one by one. Without the bloody slaughter god weapon, it would be very difficult to maintain a top 100 ranking. As for snatching the bloody slaughter god weapon, even if he was surrounded and killed, his ranking would still be very high. Surround and attack. Go. Don't let him escape. The deities in front of him had already made their move. An azure chain streaked across the sky, followed by countless more azure chains, all of which wrapped around the fleeing black-armored man. The black-armored man's expression changed slightly. Your survival abilities are too weak. You won't be able to protect the bloody slaughter god weapon. Another majestic voice rang out, and black flying discs appeared in the surroundings. Countless black flying discs surrounded the black-armored man. Die. A purple beam of light instantly pierced through everything, arriving in front of the black-armored man. The bloody slaughter god weapon was indeed powerful, but at the very least it had to touch the enemy's body. Currently, these deities were either using powerful techniques that they had come up with, or they were using their weapons from afar. None of them could get close. These pursuers all worked together to attack the black-armored man first. You want to kill me? The black-armored man growled savagely. His movement technique was erratic, and at the same time, the blood-colored blade in his hand suddenly expanded to over 5,000 kilometers in length. Shwa shwa shwa. This black-armored man's blade techniques were extremely powerful. For a moment, the surrounding area was filled with blood-colored blade lights, forcing the surrounding deities to evade and maintain their distance. The fact that the black-armored man was able to survive until now showed that his strength was not too far off from theirs. He also had a world deity secret technique, so even if he was struck by 2 or 3 moves, he would not immediately die. However, if the other deities were to be touched by this blood-colored blade, they would definitely die. While resisting, the black-armored man fled. He wanted to shake off the pursuing deities. Not good. The black-armored man suddenly saw a figure chasing after him. As the figure passed through the mountain, he could clearly see it. It's the Calm Sea Prefecture's Dongbua. That was because 5 deities had given up and left at the start. Thus, there were only 12 of them, including Dongbo Shuiying, who were chasing after the black-armored man. Due to the distance, Dongbo Shuiying and the rest were unable to catch up to him. Thus, there were only 7 of them. 7 deities surrounded the black-armored man, and none of them dared to engage in close combat. Instead, they attacked from afar, and they could only display 60 to 70% of their strength. And with the bloody slaughter deity weapon wreaking havoc, all of them had to be extremely careful, so the amount of strength they could unleash was even less. In addition, this was the first time they had teamed up to attack, so they weren't able to coordinate perfectly. Naturally, they were unable to do anything to the black-armored man. Not good. The black-armored man tried his best to escape. Dongbo Shuiying posed a much greater threat than the other 7. Although any one of the other 7 was comparable to Dongbo Shuiying, none of them dared to get close to him. But Dongbo Shuiying dared to do so. With his 3 mirage bodies, he had nothing to fear. Without the deity weapon, Dongbo Shuiying posed a much greater threat. Unfortunately, the black-armored man wanted to escape, but the other 7 joined forces to obstruct him. Shwa shwa shwa. Dongbua Ying was finally within the same mountain range as the black-armored man. With a thought, 3 starry blue-robed youths appeared beside the black-armored man. Poob. Blade lights and spear shadows flashed. The mirage bodies were not real bodies, and even if they were damaged they could recover instantly. Dongbua Ying was able to unleash his full strength perfectly. The 3 mirage bodies did not care about defense at all, and they attacked in a frenzy. In an instant they suppressed the black-armored man, and a spear pierced through his abdomen. If not for Jiushi, Dongbua Ying would have been number 1 in the Kamsi prefecture. The black-armored man was the closest to the deity weapon. Evidently, the Bloodblade considered him to be the weakest. In the Kamsi prefecture, the black-armored man was probably ranked 30th. Since the deity weapon was useless against the mirage bodies, he was naturally suppressed in a one-on-one fight. We can't let Dongbua snatch it away from us. The other 7 deities were all anxious. They understood that the black-armored man would not be able to escape, but they had to stop Dongbua Ying at all costs. After all, the moment Dongbua Ying managed to snatch it, the threat he posed would be much higher than the black-armored man. At this time, there were still 4 deities closing in on him. Let's join forces. The 4 deities transmitted their voices. They were clearly anxious as well. If Dongbua Ying managed to snatch it away, it would be extremely difficult to snatch it back. Chapter 472. Alright, let's work together. Stop Dongbua of the Kamsi prefecture. The 11 deity experts chose to work together without hesitation. Everyone could see that if they did not, Dongbua Ying would be able to successfully snatch the Bloody Slaughter deity weapon. A green-haired woman dressed in a long robe looked at Dongbua Ying from afar, her eyes emitting a cold green light. Her lips moved slightly. Everyone, Dongbua's real body is over there. At the same time, sound waves began to sweep through the surroundings, converging at the center of which was Dongbua Ying's real body hidden in the mirage. Dongbua Ying felt an ear-piercing and uncomfortable sound drilling into his mind, causing it to buzz incessantly. A sound wave attack? There are so many experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, and the Mirage Deity Heart is famous for being good at assassination. Aside from not using the World Deity Heart, I've already pushed the Mirage Deity Heart's concealment to its limits, but I was still discovered. Although the sound waves were powerful, his time immemorial body was much more resilient and could completely resist them. It did not affect his control over the 3 Mirage avatars. The 3 Mirage avatars disregarded their own safety and continued to attack. The black-armored man's abdomen was pierced by a spear, but his eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. Being pierced by a spear was not life-threatening. If Dongbua Ying really wanted to kill his opponent, he would probably need at least 10 or 20 spear strikes. But being pierced in the abdomen made him realize that he had no hope of keeping the Bloody Slaughter deity weapon. If he continued to resist, there would only be one ending for him: death and elimination. Dongbua, if I can't get it, then don't even think about getting it. The black-armored man roared ferociously. With a sudden wave of his hand, the blood-colored saber in his hand pierced through space and appeared near the 6 deity experts thousands of kilometers away. Dongbua Ying was stunned. Admirable. The 3 Dongbua Ying glanced at the black-armored man before disappearing at the same time, reappearing thousands of kilometers away. There, the other 6 deity experts had already begun fighting over the weapon. Are you impressed? The black-armored man stood in mid-air. At this moment, no one was surrounding him. He sighed softly. What a pity that I met the Kamsi prefecture's Dongbo. His mirage body isn't his true body, so he's not afraid of the Bloody Slaughter deity weapon at all. Swoosh. The black-armored man quickly retreated to the edge of the mountain and watched the battle from afar. He was waiting for an opportunity. If Dongbua Ying died, he would still be able to continue fighting. Dongbua Ying did not feel any hatred towards his opponents. Everyone was just trying to get into the top 100. Once they got into the top 100, they would definitely be taken in as a disciple by a powerful existence, and they would even be able to obtain a myriad flower true fruit. Since the black-armored man chose to give up, Dongbua Shuang naturally left him. Be careful of Dongbua. We can't let him get it. The 6 deity realm experts, as well as the other 5 deity realm experts in the distance, all wanted to snatch the Bloody Massacre deity weapon, but they were wary of Dongbua Shuang. In terms of combat power, Dongbua Shuang was one of the best amongst them. His advantage wasn't so great that he could suppress him. It was just that his mirage body posed too much of a threat when it came to snatching the Bloody Massacre deity weapon. Dongbua Shuang gave it a try. One of the swordsmen was able to casually block the attacks of 2 of his mirage bodies with a single sword. There were also the other deity realm experts obstructing him, causing Dongbua Shuang to have no hope at all. They might be afraid of Dongbua, but I'm not. As long as I can get my hands on the Bloody Massacre deity weapon, I'll be able to swiftly attack his true body. The green-robed lady was also attacking from afar, looking for an opportunity to snatch the Bloody Massacre deity weapon. Shwa shwa shwa. 3 starry blue-robed youths appeared at the same time. The green-robed lady was shocked. Since you were able to discover me, I'll send you out, the 3 Dongbua Shuang said with a smile. For a moment their spears danced in the air as they attacked madly. The green-robed lady immediately tried to defend herself. However, against the 3 mirage bodies that didn't care about defense, she was instantly at a disadvantage. She hurriedly transmitted her voice to the others. Quick, help me block Dongbua. Once I die, none of you will be able to discover Dongbua's true body. At that time, he can easily conceal his true body and use his mirage body to deal with all of you. Other than the 2 deity realm experts who were using their spells to restrain Dongbua Shuang from afar, no one else came to stop them. It's useless. The Bloody Massacre deity weapon has already fallen into the hands of one person. They are all trying to snatch it. If they come over to restrain me, I'm afraid that the person who obtained the Bloody Massacre deity weapon will be able to escape. The 3 Dongbua Shuang said at the same time. At the same time, their spears pierced into the green-robed lady's shoulder. Although I'm a huge threat, they have to get rid of the expert who obtained the deity weapon first. Damn it! Damn it! The green-robed lady gritted her teeth in anger. Her shoulder exploded, and fresh blood splattered everywhere. She understood. Dongbua Shuang's words were right. The Bloody Massacre deity weapon was too attractive. Everyone had to stop the person who obtained the deity weapon. Otherwise, once the person escaped, it would be hard to get it back. I admit defeat. I give up. The green-robed lady said anxiously. Boom! A spear pierced into her chest, causing the heavily injured green-robed lady's body to explode. She immediately dissipated into nothingness. She had been eliminated. What a pity. I don't dare to believe you. The 3 Dongbua Shuangs turned their heads at the same time. In the distance, the man wielding the blood-red scimitar was fighting with all his might. The other deity realm experts were also attacking and snatching the deity weapon. Not good. Dongbua has already killed Chen Qing. The others were shocked. Earlier, they had planned to snatch the deity weapon and escape while Dongbua Shuang and Chen Qing were fighting. What a pity. You guys are slower than me. The 3 Dongbua Shuangs laughed at the same time, following which they disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already beside the man wielding the blood-red scimitar. No matter how many weapons were attacking them, the 3 Dongbua Shuangs only focused on attacking the man wielding the blood-red scimitar, ignoring all other weapons. The green-robed lady was already dead. But now none of these opponents had discovered his true body. Since Dongbua Shuang's safety was no longer threatened, he was naturally willing to risk everything to snatch the deity weapon. Damn it, damn it. The man wielding the blood-red scimitar was extremely anxious. He was already having a hard time holding on. Now that he was surrounded by 3 Dongbua Shuangs, he was starting to get hit. I don't want it anymore. You guys go snatch it. He immediately threw the blood-red scimitar in his hand. South, the 3 Dongbua Shuangs followed suit. 2 of the Dongbua Shuangs blocked the other deity experts, while the last Dongbua Shuang's right hand reached out and grabbed the blood-red scimitar. The black-armored man was proficient in spatial techniques. He was able to throw the blood-red scimitar far away in an instant, and its trajectory was hard to track. However, this man wielding the scimitar was clearly weaker. allowing Dongbua Shuiying to lock onto its trajectory. Ha ha ha. As he grabbed the blood-red scimitar, he could immediately feel the terrifying power contained within it. This was a deity weapon personally forged by His Majesty. Even though it was of a lower quality, even a stage 1 world deity would die from a slight scratch. In Dongbua Shuiying's hands, the blood-red scimitar immediately transformed into a blood-red spear. The 3 Dongbua Shuiyings laughed out loud, each of them wielding a blood-red spear. 3 blood-red spears. For a moment, the other 10 deity experts could not tell which one was the real bloody kill deity weapon. Clearly, the Mirage deity heart had reached such a level that its ability to disguise itself was extremely high. Those who block me die. The 3 Dongbua Shuiyings looked around. The 10 deity experts looked at each other. Almost instantly, they began to scatter and escape without hesitation. Dongbua, consider yourself lucky, ruthless, admirable. The black-armored man, who had been waiting for an opportunity, shook his head when he saw Dongbua Shuiying obtain the bloody kill deity weapon. Without hesitation, he turned and rushed out of the mountain, leaving quickly. Now no one could find Dongbua Shuiying's real body. How could he fight against the 3 mirage bodies wielding the bloody kill deity weapon? They could not tell which one was the real bloody kill deity weapon. The mirage bodies did not need any defense. How could they fight? If they continued fighting, they would only be defeated by Dongbua Shuiying one by one. The chances of them snatching the deity weapon was very slim. The battle was intense. On Dongbua Shuiying's side, because Dongbua had a mirage body, and the other side could not find Dongbua Shuiying's real body, they retreated in the face of overwhelming odds. On the other hand, the other side was in a much more desperate situation. When one died, everyone would surround and attack the other, who had obtained the bloody kill deity weapon. In the end, only one managed to escape. Just fighting for the bloody kill deity weapon, over 80 deity experts had lost their lives in the mountain range. We got the bloody kill deity weapon. Dongbua, well done. The Xia people, as well as Jing Qiu, raised their heads in excitement. TSK TSK TSK. My brother Dongbua is really amazing. The more dazzling he is, and the younger he is, the more powerful existences will take notice of him. The White Sand City Lord drank his wine and praised. When the time comes, there will be more powerful existences willing to take him as a disciple. I really wonder which powerful existence my brother will take him as after the Bloodshed God Palace battle is over. Chapter 473. On the Myriad Flower Feast, the powerful existences were exchanging toasts and chatting, while watching the Bloodshed God Palace battle. This kid named Dongbua only cultivated for 2,300 years or so. Yet he already has such strength. If I give him some pointers, he will definitely be able to attain a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Moreover, even a fool would know how many grade 2 deity hearts he is proficient in. I can guide him to grasp the 4 grade 1 deity hearts of world, chaos, extremity, and space-time. A tall and sturdy almighty with a huge head was beaming with joy as he watched. Furthermore, from the intelligence reports, his growth in his hometown, the Xia people's world, shows that he really values friendship and righteousness. The old ancestor, like this kind of disciple who values friendship and righteousness. Where else can I find such a good disciple? I have to think of a way to get my hands on him. This powerful being's name was Fierce Tyrant, but he was usually addressed as Forefather Fierce Tyrant. His background was not ordinary, and in terms of foundation, he was much stronger than Chihua Laozu and Sacred Master Crimson Dust. Since Forefather Fierce Tyrant was a being from the Divine World, he was also one of the Fierce Five of the Divine World. One had to know that the leader of the 5 Banes of the Immortal World was one of the 3 Patriarchs, Pang Yi. The 5 Banes of the Immortal World took good care of one another. Besides that, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was rumored to have the worst comprehension ability of the Fierce Five. Back when he was a stage 4 world deity, he had been captured by one of the 3 ancestors, the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and used as a mount. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had also imparted him a secret technique and guided him in his cultivation. Under the guidance of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had actually become an almighty expert. As a result, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had a strong backing. He was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the divine world, and he was also the Mount of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. Moreover, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was famous for his shielding of his disciples. Normally, almighty existences would allow their disciples to fight outside. Even if they died, they could only blame it on their own incompetence. However, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was too protective of his disciples, so when others heard that he was Forefather Fierce Tyrant's personal disciple, no one dared to provoke him. Because Forefather Fierce Tyrant would not care about his reputation and stand up for his personal disciple. However, it was precisely because Forefather Fierce Tyrant was overly protective of his disciples that he ended up becoming Stage 3 world deities despite having 5 personal disciples. There wasn't even a single Stage 4 world deity. With his reputation, Forefather Fierce Tyrant looked down on those with weaker talents. Those with extremely high innate talents would usually become the disciples of other powerful existences. Very few would choose to become the disciple of Forefather Fierce Tyrant, because there was a rumor going around in the outside world. This Forefather Fierce Tyrant is too bad at teaching disciples. He hasn't even produced a Stage 4 world deity. Back then, he became an almighty because of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's guidance. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to become an almighty. Such a good disciple, I must get my hands on him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant stared at Dongbue Ying. Except for Forefather Fierce Tyrant, there were still quite a few who had their eyes on Dongbue Ying. These powerful existences were all very sharp, and they could all see through Dongbue Ying's potential. This was a good disciple who could become a Stage 3 world deity with just a bit of nurturing, and even had a chance of becoming a Stage 4 world deity. Manor Lord. Forefather Fierce Tyrant started chatting with a man beside him. This man was dressed in a luxurious purple robe, and he was rather handsome. His eyes were long and narrow, and his gaze was as sharp as a blade. There was a faint crack in the center of his forehead, which contained a faint golden light. He looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant and asked, "Fierce Tyrant, what's the matter?" Manor Lord. Forefather Fierce Tyrant immediately said, "Does Manor Lord intend to accept a disciple in this Bloodshed God Palace battle?" "I have no such plans." The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's long and narrow eyes looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant. "To me, accepting a disciple is meaningless. If I can take that step, I will be able to fight against God Emperor. If I can't, I will only stop here. As for accepting a disciple, it's completely useless." Forefather Fierce Tyrant nodded repeatedly. He had once served as a mount for the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, so he was very clear about how arrogant and domineering the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was not very enthusiastic about teaching disciples, and he would only accept one if he found one pleasing to the eye. Even if Manor Lord doesn't want to accept a disciple, I do intend to. I fancy a little fellow, and I really want to take him as a disciple. I feel that I can teach him to become a Stage 4 world deity, Forefather Fierce Tyrant said. "You want to accept a disciple, but you came to me instead?" The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him, the corner of his mouth curling up. "What's the matter? Just say it." Forefather Fierce Tyrant laughed mischievously. "The Prefecture Master is indeed the Prefecture Master. You should know that my reputation as a disciple isn't too good. Up until now, I haven't even managed to teach a Stage 4 world deity. There are definitely quite a few people who want to take Dongbue Shuang as a disciple. Even if I'm willing to accept him, it's very likely that he'll end up becoming a disciple of some other powerful existence. That's why I'm hoping for the Prefecture Master to help me out. If he becomes my personal disciple, he'll be considered your disciple, right? At that time, I hope that Manor Lord will nod and give this little fellow the opportunity to enter your violet bamboo sea to cultivate." The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant gave a simple and honest smile. "No matter what, you are an almighty. How can you be so shameless?" The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master shook his head lightly. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the immortal world. Naturally, He was more tyrannical and ruthless than the average almighty existence. However, his temper was better than most almighty existences. Manor Master, it's rare for me to see such a good disciple. Forefather Fierce Tyrant hastily said. All right, I promise you. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded lightly. Haha. Thank you, Manor Lord. Thank you, Manor Lord. With Manor Lord's words, I have confidence in this disciple. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was filled with anticipation. The Bamboo Mountain Manor Master said, if His Majesty, the Overlord of Destruction or Pang Yi were to ask, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to snatch this disciple. If they speak, then I have nothing to say. Forefather Fierce Tyrant said confidently, let's not talk about His Majesty. Even if it were an absolute transcendent with a grade 1 true meaning, His Majesty would be too lazy to accept him. Not to mention Big Brother Pang Yi. Let him teach. Back then, he had taken in 108 disciples in one go. Since then, after a long time, he had only taken in 2 disciples. It was very difficult for him to take in any more disciples. The Overlord of Destruction also hasn't accepted a disciple for many years. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded. The 3 ancestors placed more importance on their own cultivation. The stronger they were, the less they cared about taking in disciples. After all, their own bodies were the foundation. Only occasionally, when they met a junior they liked, would they be willing to give them a few pointers. For instance, the leader of the Fierce 5, Pang Yi, had once taken in 108 disciples in one go after comprehending a certain secret technique. Furthermore, he had taught them all seriously. Under normal circumstances, the chances of them taking in disciples were very low. On the contrary, ordinary powerful existences were more willing to take in disciples. The powerful existences were watching from afar. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was still going on intensely. The descent of the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors had increased the intensity of the battle. Some deity experts could easily die in the battle. After all, the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors were too frightening. 150, 120, 180. Amidst the mountain range, the number of deity experts remaining was decreasing rapidly. The reason for this decrease was due to the slaughter. The other reason was the rate at which venomous insects were being born. Venomous insects were already very powerful, and killing one was not an easy task. Those without the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors could easily lose their lives if they were surrounded by 2 or 3 venomous insects. However, it was different for those with the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors. The more venomous insects they produced, the faster they could kill. They could kill venomous insects in a single move. Other than the 7 with grade 1 deity hearts, there were a few others who were also quite dazzling. One of them was Dongbua Shui Ying. Dongbua Shui Ying's Mirage secret skill was truly heaven-defying to be able to summon 3 Mirage bodies. This was a supportive secret skill. In terms of offense, Dongbua Shui Ying was originally somewhat lacking. His offensive power was even weaker than Drunk Guest's. However, with the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors, Dongbua Shui Ying's weakness in offense was immediately made up for. The Mirage bodies were also immortal. The Mirage bodies and the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors were a perfect match, especially when the 3 Mirage bodies each held a blood-colored divine spear, making it hard for enemies to distinguish the real from the fake. Currently, there are only 75 people still fighting in the mountain range, and I'm currently ranked 11th. Dongbua Shui Ying was in a relaxed mood. In other words, I'll definitely be able to enter the top 100. Amen? Dongbua Shui Ying's expression suddenly changed. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared from the edge of the mountain range. All 3 of them were wielding the Bloody Slaughter deity warriors. It's the 3 of them? Dongbua Shui Ying was very clear about the rankings of these 3 experts. They were ranked 9th, 15th, and 18th respectively. In terms of direct combat strength, any one of them was not any weaker than him. Logically speaking, the 3 of them would definitely be able to enter the top 100 as well. Why would they surround and attack him? Among the 3 of them, an ugly man wielding a blood-colored curved blade coldly said, Calm Sea Prefecture's Dongbua, it's rare for a brat like you who has only cultivated for 2,000 years to have such strength. However, I'll let you know that you're still far from being able to kill me in a direct confrontation. You have 2 choices now. The first is to flee and be surrounded by us. The second is to fight me one-on-one. My two companions won't attack you for the time being. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.